Yes, sir.
It's the show that features serious, thought-provoking sports talk and insightful sports commentary.
You knew it!
In other words, it's the show where they all talk a crap load about sports.
Let's go for it!
Now let's introduce your host, a man who lives and breathes and has a passion for sports. A man who breaks everything down in the sports world and gives you everything you need to know. Plus a bunch of stuff you probably don't need, but you'll still enjoy it.
You can't handle the truth!
Here is your host, Dan Kasper.
Prime time!
What up, everybody? Good morning and happy Friday. A little TGIF, Dan Kasper Show on the air. Radio dials, you got a couple of those. 105.1 FM, 790 AM. Also available online, sportstalk1051.com. Get your Google and Alexa home devices. The Sports Talk app video stream is also up and rolling on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Appreciate you making us a part of your starts on this Friday morning before Memorial Day weekend. What do we got on the game plan here for this morning? Well, we're going to talk a little Brewers. Brewers, after a couple of straight days of shutting out the Astros, they were the ones that got shut out last night against the San Francisco Giants, 5-0. But one positive from the game last night could be their new starting pitcher, Julio Teheran. We were talking a little bit about him yesterday, the former All-Star, two-time All-Star when he was with Atlanta in 2014, 2016. His deal was made official like hours before his starts. And he, I think, probably exceeded expectations. He definitely went out there and gave the Brewers a chance to win the ball game. Going 5 innings, striking out 5, giving up just 1 run, and issuing 1 walk on 4 hits. So, we do our tip of the caps. You got to give a tip of the cap to Julio Teheran in his performance yesterday. He exceeded my expectations. He absolutely pitched. It was a quality start. He pitched and put this team in a position, to win the ball game. Offense was just incredibly cold last night. Just 4 total hits for the Brewers last night, and only getting on base via the walk twice. Striking out a total of 13 times last night. 13 times. So the Brew Crew will try it again tonight as they continue this 4-game series. Game 1 in the books. But Freddie Peralta will be on the mound tonight for the Brewers. Can he get this team back in the win column? So we'll preview that game. Look ahead to the other games coming up this weekend. Brewers, though, 1.5 up over the Pirates in the division so far. If you're still keeping tabs on that, with a 27-23 overall record. Also, in Milwaukee last night, Commissioner Rob Manfred was in town talking about, putting his 2 cents in about Brewers and AmFam Field and the upgrades and that sort of thing. Obviously, backing the Brewers and that stuff. But is it possible that the Brewers could leave Wisconsin? I mean, is that? What do you think? What do you think? I guess I have my doubts that it'd be a few years, but I hate to kind of have that discussion that we were having with the Bucks from a few years ago. Remember that whole ordeal? So, speaking of hoops, Celtics, are they actually making this a little bit of a series right now? They got another W last night. Jaylen Brown said it's now a series, but extending that. series. Now we'll get a game 6. So we'll see. But that continues in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Dallas Stars. Pavelski, Wisconsin native, former Badger, having himself a game last night too. But the Stars continuing that series too. So won't be a sweep there, as they got a 3-2 victory over the Golden Knights. Joe Pavelski's overtime winner. He's had quite the playoff run here, the former Plover, Wisconsin native. I give him a tip of the cap there too. So, but we got a little Stanley Cup chats on here. We'll catch up with Dr. Crow for a little inside the training room just under an hour from now. We'll talk to him about Wade Miley's very rare shoulder type injury, or at least they're saying it's a rare type of shoulder injury. So we'll get the doc's 2 cents. 2 cents on that. So we'll hit that up. We'll do a Carpet City Flooring Center local sports spotlight. We got a lot to choose from, right? I mean, we've got last night we saw a bunch of track and field athletes punch their tickets to the state championship next week. If you were following our good buddy, Mr. Brandon Berg, on Twitter, I mean, he was even posting some stuff just a couple hours ago. It was a busy night for him, busy night for local sports people covering everything going on. You had softball still continuing last night. We're still got baseball, golf, soccer. So there's a lot going on right now. But last night we had quite a few local athletes punching their ticket to the state track and field meet in La Crosse. So again, tip of the cap to all those individual athletes heading on over to La Crosse. So we got a lot to choose from for our Carpet City Flooring Center local spotlight. So we'll hit that up. What else do we got here on a Friday? We might hit up a little Fired Up and a little Cream of the Crop too. We'll see what we got there. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers everything on here, because really not a whole lot with Green Bay and the green and gold and that sort of thing. And so I want to just kind of, nothing really to hit up there. So, but let's get things going here this morning. We'll open up things on the leadoff, talking a little baseball. Brew Crew got them to hit up, falling last night to the Giants. But we were kind of talking about Julio Teheran and the Brewers hoping maybe, just maybe, that they would catch lightning in a bottle again with a buy low risk type of signing when it comes to a starting pitcher. And after one game, if we want to overreact to just one game, all signs point to thumbs up with that signing. Now we'll see in his next couple starts and that sort of thing. But heck of a performance from Julio Teheran last night. So that's the one positive from the game. Other than that, offensively, it was cold. I mean, getting after the Brewers, shutting out the Astros a couple times. They were the victims of being shut out. So, but, looking at it, Christian Yelich, if you go to Brewers.com, Christian Yelich is a leader in a lot of categories right now. Taking out Owen Miller. Owen Miller went hitless last night. Everybody's favorite player right now, Owen Miller. But in terms of, number of at-bats and such, Christian Yelich is, leading the team in batting averages up to a 260. He's leading the team in runs. He's leading the team in stolen bases. So, I mean, Yelly playing up to expectations a little bit. He's not that far off on total RBIs for the team lead. He's 4th. He was batting cleanup a little bit last night. You see that? Batting cleanup. He's 4th on the team in home runs. Rowdy Tellez leading the way with 12. Willie Adames, 9. Brian Anderson, 8. Christian Yelich, 7. But, I don't know. maybe getting there a little bit. We'll throw some other baseball talk in here too. Just kind of doing a recap of what's going on across the league here too. I mean, the Baltimore Orioles, they're on a nice little run here. They just went 5-1 on an AL East trip. You know, last year Baltimore was probably the biggest surprise in Major League Baseball. And they didn't do a whole lot in the offseason, which, you know, upset a lot of Baltimore fans. You know, like, okay, you know, we actually have a decent team. Surprised a lot of people. Let's go for it. Maybe be aggressive in the offseason. They really didn't. Yet, here they are, second place in the AL East, just 3 games back from Tampa Bay. The Yankees, who are in third, are 4 back from Baltimore for second place. Yankees overall 7 back from Tampa Bay. But Tampa Bay is 37-15, and Baltimore's 33-17. So, oh, look now with the Baltimore Orioles. How about that AL East, though? You know, just thinking it was going to be Yankees and Toronto in the mix, and Toronto's 26-25. They're last in the division right now. And it's like, never sleep on Tampa Bay. And I feel like, you know, still Tampa Bay is far exceeding anybody's expectations so far this year, just with how lights out and dominant they have been. But it's Tampa Bay and Baltimore leading the AL East right now. And you look at the AL West, Houston, defending champs, they're in second right now, still 7 games over 500. But Texas, with all that money that they've spent the last couple of years, might be finally paying off for them. So they're in first place in that division. So we'll do a kind of a recap or a look around Major League Baseball too. So, but let's get things going here this morning. We'll take that first break, and then coming up on the leadoff, we'll talk some baseball. You can always hit us up with some texts at that Shoe Doctors bullpen line at 715-830-1912. Hit me up on Twitter at DANKASPER, Facebook.com/Kasper Sports, or if you want, you can chime in on the video stream as well. So we'll take that first break, and then we'll get things going on this Friday morning before Memorial Day weekend. Stick around. We'll be back in just a couple minutes.
Got a take on today's topics but can't call in? Then hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or the text line and let your fingers do the talking.
Don't miss the 16th annual Riding for a Reason rally to raise money for breast cancer awareness. Join us Saturday, June 3rd, starting at 10 a.m. at Loopy's in Chippewa Falls for a day of fun and camaraderie. Riders welcome, but feel free to bike or drive. Hey, it's all for a good cause. All proceeds go to Marshfield Clinic's mobile mammography unit. Don't miss it. The 16th annual Riding for a Reason rally, brought to you in part by this radio station. Saturday, June 3rd, starting and ending at Loopy's in Chippewa Falls. Register to ride at ridingforareasonrally.com.
Drive safely, Wisconsin. Highway workers are out on the road. They do it to better serve you. And just like you, they want to get home safely at the end of a hard day's work. When driving, all of us have a chance to set the right example. Be patient. Put down the phone. Never text and drive. Slow down and move over if possible to give workers a little extra room. Work zone safety. It's everyone's responsibility.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin DOT.
Keep your spring showers hot with a new water heater from Hurlburt Heating and Plumbing. Extended through May, when you purchase a new furnace and air conditioner from Hurlburt, you'll get a free water heater. Consultations are always free, and interest-free financing is available too. Give us a call or visit us online at hurlburthp.com for more information. That's hurlburthp.com.
Who doesn't love cooking up a good burger on the grill? Having a good burger is one of the most satisfying moments in your life. And now we have the perfect burger to put on the grill and create more satisfying moments in your life. It's the Dan Good Burger, available only at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. This burger has bacon, cheese, and ranch seasoning all inside the patty to give you that perfect balance of taste and awesomeness in each bite. So head on over to Hy-Vee in Eau Claire and grab yourself a few Dan Good Burgers and fire up that grill.
So, I have a question for all you guys out there. Why is it that I see you hauling all kinds of stuff in your trucks? Lumber, ATVs, furniture, and everything is strapped down tight, except you. I mean, come on, fellas. You're just as important as your buddy's blue plaid sofa. Buckle up.
Pickups rock. They also roll. Buckle up in your truck and arrive alive. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Transportation.
The Shoe Doctor is known for quality footwear. Remember, the Shoe Doctor can keep your feet comfortable during all the different outdoor weather and activities here in the Chippewa Valley. Work boots, casual shoes, sandals, and more. From brands you trust like Keen, Merrill, Chaco, and Dansko, and that's just to name a few. Located on Claremont Avenue in Eau Claire, you can also visit them online at ShoeDoctorFootwear.com. The Shoe Doctor, quality footwear for work, sport, and fun.
Have you noticed all the amazing things going on with the Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity? Right now, they're completing a home build in Boyceville and will be building more homes in Menominee. The Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity is doing such tremendous work for families in need in our area. And you know what? You can join their team and help out. You can volunteer with the Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity, whether it's on home builds or repairs or in the restore. They have many different volunteering options for you to help. Another way is just simply shopping and donating to the Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity Restore. By your purchases, you're helping fund home builds for families in need, and your donations help keep the inventory stocked at the Restore. You too can help families in our area. Just visit cvh4h.org to learn more or stop on by at the Restore. And if you haven't already, make sure you're following their Facebook page for the latest posts and updates on their home builds and the latest inventory that's available at the Restore. And don't forget to visit cvh4h.org to learn more about Chippewa Valley Habitat for Humanity.
The latest sports news, scores, opinion, and commentary. If that's not enough, you should seek professional help. The Dan Kasper Show.
Now that we've been able to get outside and get a little bit more active, have you started to feel those aches and pains maybe again? Maybe it's finally time for you to stop getting that yearly reminder. Reduce your pain and increase your ability to do your daily activities with ease. With the help from our good friends at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, Dr. Crow over there. So all you have to do is visit cvosm.com to request an appointment, and the incredible team at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine will help you live that pain-free and healthy life today. Maybe with all those, outdoor stuff that you're getting, mowing the lawn, fixing the deck, and all that, kind of getting you feeling your age there a little bit. It is for me, not going to lie. So maybe make that appointment at cvosm.com with our good friends at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. All right, here, let's get things going here. Opening things up on the leadoff, talking a little Milwaukee Brewers baseball. Let's get recapping last night's victory. We got Julio Teheran, probably the only positive from last night, if we're being real with ourselves, right? The pitcher that Brewers kind of brought in literally at the last second. Bringing in at the last second. And I think he pitched out over expectation. He pitched above my expectations. He goes in there, couple hours, the deal's, officially official. We knew it was probably going to happen, but he had to pass his physical. We heard about it from a couple days ago and such. He passed his physical and goes out there and pitches 5 innings and only gives up 4 hits and 1 earned run. And maybe the Brewers, if we're kind of being a little optimistic, kind of caught some lightning in the bottle there a little bit with Julio Teheran, but he is a former All-Star from the Atlanta Braves, 2014 to 2016. Has had some struggles as of late in the last few years there. San Diego Padres had signed him to a AAA deal, but he was not doing so well. That's kind of putting it lightly in his AAA career there. So he opted out And apparently he had a few suitors out there, but nonetheless, he signs up with the Brewers. Probably looked at that as an opportunity to, get some playing time, get playing time right away and be that starter. And, well, he goes out there and pitches a gem. Unfortunately, the offense not able to help him out and pick up that way. He gets charged with the loss because, well, that's how things work out, but only gave up that one earned run last night. And, well, still pitched a quality start. So fashionably late, as always. Intern Bob joining us here. Were you still not ready and you're in that studio messing around?
I thought you were still
get your solitary game up and ready and rolling so you could play that during the breaks.
That opening dialogue that you do, I thought you were still had air doing that. I didn't know you were already into the meat of the program.
Come on. Should be in here right at 6 anyways.
I don't want to listen to you go on and on for 15 minutes.
Why are you here then? Get out of here,
because
man.
I can help
we're
you.
Almost matching. Sure.
There we go. We look good, don't we? Hey, I'll tell you what. I was over at Hy-Vee yesterday afternoon, and our sister station Wax had a country jam program going on over there. But I was over there, and a lot of some of the folks that listened in the morning, and especially look forward to Thursday morning. They always say.
Yeah, Brandon yesterday. Yeah, he was really good.
But I went over there, and I'm going to tell you, I ate over there last night for supper. 8-ounce sirloin with potatoes and green beans with bacon in it, $10.
Mm-hmm.
And it was it was a spectacular, and this is May beef month, so, and they say they're going to do this, I think, every Thursday afternoon now out there in the front. They had some music and just a great, great afternoon. But for $10, you go to a restaurant, that's a $30 meal. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
And and I washed her down with a Man Cave Light or whatever they call that.
Oh, yeah, it's a Man Cave Light there, big boy.
Yeah. So they did that. So great. So it was really delicious. So if you're, looking for someplace to eat supper on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Oh, over there at Hy-Vee was good.
Good weather too.
Oh, it was a beautiful night.
Yeah, absolutely. So
and it was full outside, so I went inside, and all the TVs were going. I was watching golf. I was watching baseball, pros. I was watching college baseball. Great place to be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. So, were you watching a little bit of the Brewer game too, or?
Yep. Watched a little bit of the Brewers game, and and I was thinking about this afterward. You really can't get excited, or you can't get down on the Brewers because they are who they are, and they're not, outside of Yelich, nobody's getting overpaid on this team right now, and so you can't get upset like the Padres, the
right
payroll they've got, and you expect those guys to perform every day. The Brewers are not that kind of a team, so I'm happy with where they are right now. They're in first place in division, and they're who can shut out? Nobody's going to shut out Houston 2 games in a row this year. I'd be willing to bet my paycheck that nobody else will shut out the Houston Astros 2 days in a row.
Right.
And the Brewers did it. So you get them way up on the peak with a performance. Then last night was kind of a dud. As pitching was, you were talking about the pitching earlier, and the pitching was, I thought, really outstanding. But the Brewers are who they are, and what they give us, we'll take. I'm to the point now where with this roster, if they finish over 500 and are in the mix, you got to be happy with that. Because this is
successful season.
Yeah, I would. I just, and Council's juggling of the pitching staff, and for the most part, he does a pretty good job.
Mm-hmm.
The offensive side of the plate, but then again, you look, and who have you got? You have nobody's going to be an all-star.
Right.
You got guys that are performing, Miller hitting home runs, and then they'll put somebody else in there, and they'll go 2 for 3 or whatever. And like we said in the beginning, if Yelich could ever get hot and get back into consistently good hitting, go a long way. But he hasn't done that yet. Shown flashes of it, but not consistently.
I would say he's probably getting. I would say he's trending upward so far this season.
Oh yeah, I would too. But I don't think it's been we're going back to his all-star MVP years,
and maybe that's just a little out of reach, and those 2 years were kind of a fluke because you look at what he did in Miami. I mean, he was like a 270, 280 type of hitter with 20 home runs, and maybe that's the realistic expectations we have to have.
Well, then maybe he better give a little bit of his paycheck back because we're not paying him to do that offensively. We're paying him to be a whole lot better than that.
Well, I don't think he can give anything back.
No, I don't think so. And I don't expect he'd offer to do that anyway.
No,
but,
his last 53 at bats, he's hitting 321 with an on base of 400 and slugging of 547.
Yeah, right no, and like I say, he's showing flashes where it looks like, oh, here he comes, and then he'll strike out 2 or 3 times for a couple of games in a row. But consistency is Vin Scully. Consistency, they're out of Jewel, and things like that. But I'm happy with the Brewers where they are right now.
What was I going to look up? I just wanted to see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, he's on a 6-game hitting streak right now. Yeah, he is.
Good.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think. Yeah. Right. Yeah. Wait. Yeah. You know me in math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, just wanted to make sure I was counting the right column.
As long as you don't have to take your shoes and socks off, we're safe.
Yeah.
We don't want to go any
I
higher.
am a finger counter a lot, though. I'm still a finger counter, 37 years old.
It's a safe way to do it, that's for sure. But but I think the Brewers are, they're providing reasons for the fans to go to the games. These young guys are getting better. When we get Mitchell back, which I don't think is going to be until next year with that shoulder injury, but Woodruff's got to get back. Burns has got to get better.
Yeah.
Burns has not pitched well
That's
this
maybe
year.
the other positive of it, too, with Burns, not pitching as a Cy Young candidate and all that.
Not even close.
No. So, also in attendance in the game at the game last night was a former Brewer, C.C. Sabathia, because he is a special assistant to the other person who was in attendance last night was Commissioner Rob Manfred. And get ready for more of this talk coming up here because he was there to pretty much voice his support for the upgrades for AmFam Field. And, you're starting to hear some rumblings. Could the Brewers leave? That sort of thing. And I don't think they would ever leave, but I just don't want to get in that situation where we were a few years ago with the Bucks, where we were really kind of, and I don't want to get into a political thing or anything that and all that. But, Manfred was there voicing his support for the, for the Brewers, staying in Milwaukee and all that sort of stuff. But that's going to be talked about now, kind of creeping up here.
Well, when you get, what's been the average attendance for the Brewers the last few years? A lot of people go to that ballpark. I mean, that was, Tommy Thompson took a lot of heat to build that ballpark. And, the special tax for, I don't know, a few counties around the area, which is gone now. It's a beautiful facility. Players love to come there to play because they know they're going to have a consistent field. They know they're going to have a game. And I think that stadium has been a wonderful addition for the Brewers and Wisconsin sports, especially, and by the way, I'm going to lead a bus down there on July 6th, the Brewers and the Cubs.
Oh, you're doing that one? Attaboy.
Afternoon game. We're going to leave about 7:30 in the morning. So if you
that's a Thursday, sir. So I didn't give you that time off.
I was going to say, well, bring Brandon in like you always do.
I'm gone that week, so that's my vacation week. So I don't care.
So we're going to get out. We're going to get out. Leave about 7:30. July 6th, Cubs. So a lot of Cubs fans around our area. Let's fill the bus. We're going to have fun going down there for an afternoon game. I think it starts probably about 1:10 or something like that. Yep. So July 6th, Thursday afternoon. Let's go to Milwaukee.
You and your promos this morning, right?
There we go.
Look at you. You're like a pro.
You bet. We're doing it.
No, I was trying to find, some of their average attendances here. And for the year, they're averaging 2 years over 30,000, which some people are less than a lot. But you factor in a Tuesday. Yeah, right. A Tuesday game, or a Wednesday, like these middle of the week games. And they're empty. But still, when you factor it in, I'm trying to find like major league, averages and that sort of thing. But that was one thing that Rob Manfred kind of said last night. He used the Oakland comparison, look out of the city, and that, didn't really invest in the upgrades and the facilities, and look at where that situation's at right now.
It happened before, and it's been in a past generation. But hopefully, we've learned our lesson. We lost the Braves,
Mm-hmm.
and they went to Atlanta. Of course, that was the time when the South was just kind of opening up as far as professional sports are concerned. They've been so college focused down in the South, but the Atlanta Braves have been an absolute success. And, you know, if it's not the Brewers, I'm still a Braves fan.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I really am. I born and raised with the Milwaukee Braves, and I can't imagine, and I don't want to get political either, but if the Brewers would ever leave, and there would be, you know, if you point back to some decisions made at the Capitol in Madison, I wouldn't want to be somebody running for office if I voted against helping the Brewers stay here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just the way it is. It's a public-private entity. Well, you say that because, but there are people, and I understand completely, well, it's just a money grab by the owners. Yes, it is. I mean, there's no question about it, but it's different than the NFL. The NFL has that shared revenue, and they charge prices. I mean, when you go to the Super Bowl, and what were the 30-second ads in the Super Bowl? I mean, this is so outrageous what football is getting. Baseball gets, and the NBA get nothing like that as far as revenue is concerned. But
you know, we were just talking about the draft, how much that's going to make for Green Bay.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
it's like,
and there'll be people that say, "Oh, what do you want that for?"
right.
You know, it's
right.
You know, expand your horizons, folks.
Rob Manfred last night calling, saying this ballpark is an asset. I know you talked a lot about the ball you just were. The Brewers are interested in a long-term relationship, an extension of the lease that keeps them here. Major League Baseball provides great economic activity in all of its markets, especially a market where you draw like this market does. So it's major. So it's not just an expense item. It's an investment in keeping Milwaukee a major league city. That was just Rob Manfred. Last night, the Brewers' current lease runs through 2030, followed by a series of 5 two-year club options through 2040. So, but in case anybody again is kind of wondering what's you know what are they trying to do, and that it's upgrades to the facility, you know, to kind of keep it to major league standards.
Yeah, and the state wouldn't be paying all the money for the upgrades. The Brewers have, you know, they're going to put the way I understand it, the Brewers are going to put a whole lot more in than the $200 million that they want from the state, and this is, you know, over time. But if you go to American Family Field, I mean, you got parking right there. The roads are good. I mean, I got
tailgating is awesome at AmFam
yeah,
Field.
Exactly. I mean, it's a great facility, and you know, and they use it for, you know, concerts and other things during the rest of the year.
They had a basketball game.
Yeah,
Badgers.
So they're doing other things in that facility, and it's a great facility, and I, for one, and I'll go say it, I hope the state gives them the $200 million. I don't want to see the Brewers leave here for $200 million.
I mean,
it's a lot of money, but
right.
You know, you talk about somebody wants to build a stadium, $3.5 billion or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I never have and never want to experience one of my teams moving. You have. You're young enough to remember that.
And it was heartbreaking for a sports fan and and
because you're a diehard baseball fan.
Yeah, I mean, it hurt. Hank Aaron, Eddie Matthews, Warren Spahn, Lou Burdette. I could go on and on and on and on with the guys that left Milwaukee to go play in Atlanta. It just don't want to happen.
Yeah, I don't think it will, but like you said, you know, it's happened before.
Yep, that's
and you don't want it to happen. I don't think it will, but I just, you know, you don't want to have those thoughts, right? You don't want to have that kind of creeping in the back of your mind a little bit. And
you know, you look at what's going on in Oakland. Well, they made the announcement they're going to Vegas. They're getting 400 or 500 people. You can't even afford to turn the lights on for that. And how do you want to play for a team like that? I mean, that's a depressed area out there in Oakland. I understand that. But still in all, you've got a franchise here that, you know, they've been to the World Series. You know, our hopes are, you know, we're kind of like the Vikings. We've been there, but we haven't won it. So hopefully that's in the future. And, you know, with the state of baseball, it's tough, you know, unlike football where there's shared revenue. But you lose this team and Well, I'll tell you, there'd be H to pay for some folks.
I agree with Manfred, what he said here after this comment too, and this is something we've talked about. It is the reality in a market like this where your media opportunity is limited. You have to be A+ with respect to your live product. I would agree with that.
I think that's well said.
In order to be A+, you have to meet fans' expectations for what the ballpark should be like. I also think it's good business once the community has made an investment in an asset like this. It just doesn't make sense to not maintain it properly. It's just the basics. It's completely foreseeable. That's why it's in the lease.
And the Brewers do so many things. You've been to the. I'll tell you one of the best things. Have you been to a game yet this year?
Not this year. No, not.
It's one of the fun things they do. They do things between innings, and with a big scoreboard, they can do that. And one of the things is who do they look like?
Oh yeah, a lot of stadiums are doing that now. Yeah.
Oh, it is so fun. They'll get the goofy guys and Dana Carvey and what's his name and the old Saturday Night Live skit.
Yeah. Like Michael Meyer.
And they'll find two guys sitting together. One guy's got a big mullet like him, and it is really fun. I mean, they do, and they let, in a lot of games after the game, they'll let the kids come out and run the bases, or else let people just walk around the warning track all the way around. They don't want you on the grass because that's valuable.
Yep.
And so they make people feel a part of the stadium. They really do, and it's a great experience because you can, go get something to eat and then walk back and stand at a little counter or table and eat. You don't have to take it back to your seat, but you can stand there and still watch the game. I think it's a great experience. If you've never been to American Family Field, come with us on July 6th because we're leaving about 7:30 in the morning, and it's a Cubs game. But it's just a great place to go and a great facility.
And you're guaranteed to see a game, right?
Absolutely. That might be the number one reason.
That's the one thing, you can make a trip like that. Yeah, it's a few hours away, but you're going to see that game.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if it's raining or not.
Yep, it's going to be a game, that's for sure. But they're, they got facilities out there for tailgating. They've got actual restrooms, not the porta potties.
Yep.
The actual restrooms. They got they got little covers that you can rent, little pavilions things.
Yep.
And bring your charcoal, and like Lambeau, they got places where you can dump your charcoal. I mean, it's fan friendly. And it's good entertainment, and the Brewers are a pretty good ball team. It's fun to watch them.
Yep. So, but
give them the money.
I think it'll be, but again, you don't like having to kind of bring that up every once in a while.
But it's reality.
It's reality. Yep, exactly.
The world that revolves around money nowadays.
So, speaking of Milwaukee, not to kind of segue into football or anything like that, but I heard Mark Murphy mention this in their NFL draft presser that they had just a couple days ago, that they're actually, is it Amtrak? I think they're talking with a dedicated train from Milwaukee to Green Bay during the draft. I think it's a good idea.
That'd be a wonderful idea. That'd be a wonderful idea to keep cars off the road. And I think it's just going to be, for those of us that have had a chance to be over at Lambeau on many occasions, and you're familiar with the surrounding area, well, I'll tell you, if anybody wants to sell a bar between now and then, it's going to be, the price is going to be elevated. The Stadium View and Kroll's and some of those places.
Yep.
Holy man, are they going to make
and
money?
Those are big fancy bars already too.
Oh Lord, are they going to be jam-packed, folks? But good for them. That's what it's all about. As we said, this is a business. The sport is almost secondary.
Yep.
But for those of us that have been there and know all the way around the stadium and the new Packer area up there, Titletown area, thank you, and all the way over to Kroll's, the practice facility, the rest center. It's going to be interesting to see how they set it up because, you expect all the streets around there will be closed. It'll be a pedestrian mall. My hope, I'd like to see them set it up some way so that they can put the stage out there near the statues.
Oh, Lombardi and Lambeau?
Yep. And have maybe the green room or the waiting room in the atrium where the athletes would be, and put the stage out there, and then the commissioner could come out and do that, and then the guys could come out of the stadium onto the stage to accept their jersey for the team they're at. I don't know how they're going to do it, but
Right.
I think they have a lot of options. But I hope they incorporate the statues prominently into any kind of a staging area that they do have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was one thing that again, I don't know if you got a chance to see some of it or read a little bit. There was a few people talking at that presser, but the big theme that Mark Murphy and the Packers said that they're going to kind of display at the draft is the history and the tradition and the local community part of it, which that's kind of obvious at that point. They'd be, I think, dumb not to. That's you have to at that point. How they're going to do it, I don't know. They did mention the NFL is going to be visiting Green Bay next month to kind of go over everything, and it's the NFL that will decide where the stage is going to be.
I'm sure they will. But you look at it and you say Lambeau is in such a unique location in the middle of the city, and other stadiums are right in the city, like the Viking Stadium. Yeah, but they're surrounded by big business buildings.
Mm-hmm.
Lambeau Field is surrounded by houses.
Right.
This is a neighborhood. It's plopped right down in a neighborhood there.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is unique that, people go out their back door and, they play catch with their grandchildren in the parking lot of Lambeau Field when the game's not going. It's just a unique setting, and I hope they can emphasize that when they show the draft.
I do too. Do kind of miss that they won't be able to showcase the Kmart and Big Lot that used to be there where we would all tailgate back in the day.
Well, there at Kmart. Kmart isn't in a lot of places to showcase anymore. That's for sure.
Man, it still mind boggles me that wasn't that long ago. That's what it looked like.
Oh, absolutely.
That strip there.
I think Kmart probably made more money parking cars
game days,
8 games or 9 games a year than they did the rest of the year in the store.
Probably.
But and I'm sure they made some pretty good money when they sold it. But let's face it, Lambeau, Green Bay is unique to the NFL. A lot of stadiums are located in the cities, but there are towers right next to them, and you got little ranch houses that have been there since the 1950s or whatever, right there. So hopefully they can show that off during the draft.
I hope so too. And I know like Cliff Crystal, he's the team historian there. He's the one who set up the Heritage Trail that's got all the landmarks in Green Bay, and that. But
you know what else I hope? As these guys are drafted and they come out,
ride a bike.
Yep. Ride a bike out to see the commissioner.
I said that too.
Or if the commissioner comes out for the first pick, riding a bike out to the podium, the first pick in the 2025 NFL draft.
Got to ride the bike.
Ride the bike out.
Yep, definitely.
And I'm sure they'll, they're a lot smarter than you and I, and
some are.
Well, well, I'm sure they're already thinking about things like that.
That would be cool. I was kind of thinking, like, ride a bike, or maybe put some fake snow on the hill and go tubing down it, or something like that. And
whatever.
And that sort of
there might
thing.
be snow left. It's going to be in April. We could have snow left.
That's what Murphy said. They actually did talk about that. The NFL and the Packers said, "What if there is snow?" And he said the NFL's response was awesome. So
good.
I know there's, again, national people, even some local writers who have doubts about this, whether it's going to be good or whether it's going to be work out. I mean, you even have national people saying, I don't want to have to drive to different places and all that stuff. And it's like,
stay home and let people go that want to go.
Broaden your horizons and embrace it a little bit.
Exactly.
It's like when the Super Bowl was in Minnesota and I was there and you had all these people complaining it was cold and you had to stay indoors and that. Where it's like Peter King, you know what he did? Hey, I'm going to embrace it. He went ice fishing for the first time.
Yeah, exactly.
Go do stuff like that.
You bet.
Go have some curds and brats and a beer at 9:00 in the morning, for crying out loud. Embrace a Wisconsin culture.
That's
Go to
right.
a supper club. Do a fish fryer and have an old fashioned or something.
Yep. Tablecloths, relishes, and an old fashioned. There you go.
Exactly. It's just, okay. It's not Nashville where it's going to be a party all the time or something like that. Well, I wouldn't say that about Green Bay. It might be a party all the time, too.
I know it's going to be a party.
But embrace it, people. That's
absolutely.
why,
you bet.
It doesn't have to be the same everywhere.
Nope, that's right. Exactly. And I'm sure the NFL and Green Bay are going to pull off a wonderful draft in 2025.
It's a heck of a retirement party for Mark Murphy because he has to retire 2 months.
Oh, he does.
His mandatory retirement is July of 2025. So this draft
that's Packer rules?
Yep. For his position. I think it's mandatory. I think he'll be 70, and that's the mandatory retirement age.
I wonder how many. Well, there's got to be some pre-positioning by some folks already to get that job. I mean, is there a better job
I don't know
than being the president of the Green Bay Packers?
You know,
because you're not in there. You know they're going to have money because you got a board, and the board, you know, I don't know how often they meet or, you know, how much they really direct Murphy, or if they just tell him, make us a success on the bottom line and then step back. I don't know, but that's a pretty good gig.
And you look at the last two, I mean, you know, he replaced Bob Harlan, who did a fantastic job.
Absolutely.
I think is underrated in Packers history. It's going to be interesting when we get to that point to talk about Mark Murphy's legacy from a fan's perspective, because, you know, he gets on the job. What's the first major thing? It's the Favre fiasco. Then it's now Rodgers, but he also was a part of Titletown. From a business side, you got to give the man credit for what he's done. Titletown, expanding Lambeau Field to, was it 7,200 more seats with that, you know, top tier, couple stock sales, and now getting this draft.
And these new boards that are supposedly going in there.
Yep.
The only thing that I'd be concerned about, and again, I don't know, but I don't know if he was afraid of Ron Wolf. Not Ron Wolf.
Ted Thompson.
Ted Thompson, thank you. Because Thompson never talked to anybody. And I don't know if he talked to Murphy, or if Murphy, you know, Murphy, I'm your boss. I need to have updates. We've got to talk, even if you don't talk to him. I got to know what. And Murphy always acted like, I don't know what's going on in Ted's mind. You better. You're his boss.
Do you think part of it, and this is just purely speculation, because remember when Ron Wolf was hired, you know, Bob Harlan's presser said all football decisions and operations will be made by Ron Wolf. It got to a little bit like, okay, we're just going to follow that model, all football. But then Ted literally didn't talk, you know, whereas Ron Wolf was probably a little bit more open.
Yeah, you still got to know what he's doing or what he's thinking about doing. You can't just sit back and be surprised that this is what he's going to do. I mean, you have to have some advance notice. And if he did and he was just quiet about it, I don't know. But that was always, to me, kind of a strange relationship.
I don't think I'd ever want to play poker with Ted Thompson. He might be very good. You couldn't read that guy.
Yeah, I mean, God rest his soul, but you look at his expression, I don't think it ever changed.
Nope.
The gambler.
Yeah, right? I mean, it's once in a while he'd crack a little smile, but that was it.
Yeah, not very often.
Not very often. All right, hey, we got to take a quick break here. Then we're wrapping up the first hour already. Coming up just past 7, we'll catch up with the good doctor, Mr. Crow, Chippewa Valley Orthopedic Sports Medicine, for a little inside the training room.
180!
The Dan Kasper Show will be right back.
Cabin Coffee in Altoona isn't just your go-to place when it comes to coffee. It's your go-to place for smoothies, breakfast, and lunch. Cabin Coffee's menu includes a wide range of smoothies, freshly made sandwiches, and tasty breakfast options. And with their portion sizes, you won't go hungry after finishing your meal at Cabin Coffee. So even though you may not be a big coffee drinker, Cabin Coffee has something for you. And you can even have some of their beverages without caffeine. So go give Cabin Coffee a visit today at River Prairie in Altoona.
Keep your spring showers hot with a new water heater from Hurlburt Heating and Plumbing. Extended through May, when you purchase a new furnace and air conditioner from Hurlburt, you'll get a free water heater. Consultations are always free, and interest-free financing is available too. Give us a call or visit us online at hurlburthp.com for more information. That's hurlburthp.com.
What's the special today?
Well, I've got half-price geofencing with a side of SEO, double bubble on all PPC, and 50% off all OTT CTV contracts.
Sound familiar when you were looking for marketing options? Are vendors selling you their tactics rather than your solutions? Then let the marketing mixologists at Midwest Family Eau Claire come to the rescue. Midwest Family Eau Claire isn't about hitting their sales quotas. They're about helping you hit yours. Go to MidwestFamilyEauClaire.com today and find out how their integrated marketing solutions make just the right marketing cocktail for you. MidwestFamilyEauClaire.com.
My part-time service in the Army National Guard makes it possible for me to be more for the community I call home. My training helps me at work when I lead by example. The Army National Guard has taught me the value of showing respect to those I come in contact with each day. My service also allows me to be there for my community in ways others can't. I help my hometown recover after nature strikes. My service in the Army National Guard allows me to keep my country and those I care about safe from threats. I also work with a network of professionals that help me succeed and accomplish the mission. Plus, the Army National Guard education benefits make getting a higher education a reality. Being an Army National Guard soldier makes living and serving in my community more rewarding every day. Learn how you too can live and serve part-time, close to home by visiting NationalGuard.com.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin Army National Guard. Aired by the Wisconsin Broadcasters Association and this station.
This is Scott Pasak, owner of Koufax Chevrolet. We have a fantastic selection of vehicles in stock, and if you don't see what you're looking for, we will find it for you. We strive to provide an excellent customer experience, so stop in and see what makes Koufax Chevrolet different. Visit both of our lots in downtown Koufax, and for a buying experience completely online, visit KoufaxChev.com. It's always a fantastic day at Koufax Chevrolet.
Economy Furniture in Chippewa Falls is something that you gotta see. The biggest selection for miles around, 2 jam-packed floors of quality. At Economy, you don't have to wait for a sale. It can be yours immediately. Everyday low prices on the best brand names, and we finance it interest-free. Furnishing the Chippewa Valley since 1950. Economy Furniture's for me.
I'd like to get real with you for a moment. All across the country and even in our town, there are people who have to go without. Perhaps even you, having to go without being able to hear parts of the Dan Kasper Show. It's tragic, but there is help. You can listen to segments from Dan's show and new content on the Man Cave podcast. Check it out for yourself on your favorite podcasting platform.
All right, just a few minutes to the top of the hour already. James on the video stream saying my mom made a scrapbook of newspaper clippings of the 57 Braves. She wept the first time the Braves played the Brewers in Milwaukee. Can't lose the Brewers. We're a baseball state. So.
Exactly. Well said. And yeah, I'm sure I'd like to see that scrapbook. That would be bring back a lot of memories for yours truly as well.
Definitely. So hopefully we don't get to that point. Got a little bit of time yet, but we'll see. We'll get back to some Brewers chat coming up here because game 2 of this 4-game series tonight. Got Freddie Peralta on the mound. We'll hit that up coming up in the next hour or so. But we'll chat with Dr. Crow right before that too. Last night, the Celtics extending that series. They're not out of it yet. Now we got a game 6. I think if I'm the Heat, I'm a little bit nervous now. I
got a receiver defer about
okay. A little tease there.
We'll hold on for later on.
All right. I like that tease, man.
I don't think the series is over.
Well, I mean, you might be right now. So don't give it away. Don't give it
Oh,
away.
no,
So,
I won't.
Stanley Cup, former Badger, former Plover, Wisconsin native, Joe Pavelski having himself little, I shouldn't say little, but a fantastic playoff run so far this year. Veteran, he gets the overtime game winner last night to extend or keep that series going there with the Stars and the Vegas Golden Knights. That's another team, talk about kind of our area, another team that moved from Minnesota No Stars down to Dallas, became the Dallas Stars. So you want to do a little hockey reference there. So
yeah, and that was another one of those series that 3-0, it's over. No, it's not.
Not yet.
You got to win 4.
Does it matter who comes out of the East in the NBA, though, to you?
No.
You think the Nuggets got her? I do, too.
I think they're just on that track right now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I'm good with that. If I had to cheer for a team, I'd go Nuggets.
Yeah, and I think it just goes to show you how, I don't know the right word to use here, the MVP voting was. I mean, I think Embiid was the third most valuable player in the league this year behind Giannis and the Joker. And you look at the Joker, and I mean, they didn't vote for him because it would have been 3 in a row. So what? If he's the best player in the league, you vote for him.
I hate that narrative.
So do I.
Yep, I really do. I know you could say, well, Jordan should have won it every year or could have won it every year or whatever, but
or LeBron,
in
his heyday,
right? But what's your definition of an MVP? It's not a participation one. Like, oh, let's just give it to somebody else then, just because they've won it too often. I don't like that excuse.
But I never ever thought Embiid. I mean, great player, this, that, and the other thing. But
I feel like they factored it into last week way too much into that.
I think the Joker and Giannis were so much better during the whole course of the year that, like I said, he was probably my third pick for MVP.
That's where I feel like it was that last couple weeks. Yeah, he played some amazing basketball, but I felt like that's what determined it. And I don't like getting into, just the recency thing there. You got to look at the overall picture, the bigger picture there. So, all right, shot clock's going to cut us off here. So we'll catch up with the doc, Dr. Crow, inside the training room coming up after these news updates. And we'll get back to some more baseball talk coming up here. Don't forget, you can always join the convo, hitting us up with some texts, 715-830-1912. Quick break. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
WAYY Eau Claire, W286CK Eau Claire, Sports Talk 105.1 and 790 AM. Sports Talk 105.1 with the very latest local news.
Well, good morning. Here's what we're learning today. We start in the courts as it was a fight that led to a blood-covered man walking into Chippewa Falls Police Station, and now prosecutors filed attempted homicide charges against Abraham Sanchez Galicia. Chippewa Falls police say it took a minute to figure out what was going on because of a language barrier, but eventually they realized that Sanchez Galicia had been in a fight, and that's when they went to a nearby home and found a man lying in a pool of blood. The man says Sanchez Galicia attacked him, but Sanchez Galicia said he was the one who was attacked. As of now, the judge ordered Sanchez Galicia held on $50,000 bond. We looked at campuses where a cash flow problem could mean closures. UW Stout and UW La Crosse, though, they're among the few UW campuses that won't be losing money by the end of next year. That's according to a new report, and UW President Jay Rothman said that new report shows that every campus but Madison, Stout, and La Crosse will be in the red next year. Rothman continues to push lawmakers for more money for the UW system. Regents already raised tuition. You likely remember us talking about that, but now Rothman wants an 8% increase in the next state budget, though Rothman didn't rule out closing some campuses if things don't turn around. Well, there are layoffs coming in the northern part of the state. Collins Aerospace yesterday announced it will be permanently closing its facility in Peshtigo. The company told state regulators it plans to start issuing pink slips in July. Collins made airplane seats at the facility. Meanwhile, when it comes to some grant programs, PFAS makes a splash at the Capitol. The plan would send money to local governments for PFAS testing and treatment costs, and it was assigned to a state house committee yesterday. Green Bay State Senator Eric Wimberger says communities across our state have been waiting for years for help with those local water supplies, and that the grant program is in addition to the $125 million grant program for future PFAS work that's being added to the new state budget. And it's a special day. What do you think about making paper airplanes? Casper, you want to get some of that paper out of the copier and go head to head here?
It's believed the origin of paper airplanes comes from ancient China. It's really just origami. The average plane has 4 folds. Science tells us the longer the plane, the longer it will stay airborne. 3 aerospace engineers hold the world record for the farthest flight by a paper airplane, with theirs gliding 289 feet 9 inches. And the Australian company BioLab says throwing a paper airplane is considered a sport. I'm Bree Tennis, NBC News Radio.
Same is true for roasting, Casper, you guys.
Is considered a sport.
For Sports Talk 105.1, I'm Morgan McCarthy.
A bit of a chilly start this morning, especially in our lower elevations, but we'll have plenty of sunshine, not just for today, but over the next couple of days, with temperatures today climbing to the mid to upper 70s. Tonight, dipping to the mid 40s before more sunshine brings us to the upper 70s tomorrow, nearing 80 on Sunday and mid 80s for Memorial Day. I'm Skywarn 13 meteorologist Mike D'Andrea.
Some record farm income numbers for last year helped lower the rate of Chapter 12 farm bankruptcy filings. Let's take a look at some farm news this morning on Sports Talk 105.1 and AM 790. Now, new numbers from the bankruptcy court show filings in 2022 are at their lowest level in nearly 20 years, down to 0.78 bankruptcies per 10,000 farms. Back in 2003, that rate was up to 3.3 farms per 10,000. But the bad news is Wisconsin had the highest rate of bankruptcies at 5.56 per 10,000 farms, followed by Nebraska and Kansas. Texas had the lowest rate of Chapter 12 filings last year. Well, for farmers who still have Census of Agriculture forms to fill out, it's time to get her done. USDA officials are reminding farmers that next Wednesday, May 31st, is the deadline to return those filled out forms for the 2023 Census of Agriculture. If you received a form and produced more than $1,000 or more of agricultural products in 2022, or normally would have produced and sold that much, you are considered a farmer and you must fill out and return that form. The USDA will release results of the census in early 2024. And some county fairs are going to be able to improve their operations thanks to funding of over $227,000 provided by Compeer Financial's Fund for Rural America. About 57 fairs in Compeer's service area will each receive $4,000 grants to improve those fairs. In our area, that includes the Bayfield and Burnett County fairs, as well as the Northern Wisconsin State Fair in Chippewa Falls, using the money to buy pens for the small animal barn. Other area fairs getting financial help include the Monroe County Fair, the St. Croix County Fair, and the Vernon County Fair. Since Compeer began this program back in 2018, they've given out over $1 million to help improve 361 county and district fairs in their service areas. Let's look at some farm news this morning on Sports Talk 105.1 and AM 790. I'm Bob Bosold.
Who doesn't love Hy-Vee? Once you walk in the store, you're in for quite the shopping experience. So grab yourself a coffee and check out everything Hy-Vee has to offer. From their top-of-the-line produce section, A-plus bakery, a deli department that includes different cheeses you didn't even know existed, a superb meat department, and even shoes, plus the best wine and spirits department in the area. And once you're done shopping or need to grab a bite to eat, they have many different options in their food court, including the pop. Experience the Hy-Vee
Staples Store's innovative products and for small business, remote workers and learners, even teachers and parents. Explore more at your local Staples store.
Crank it up. Hey, I'm ready to take. Get up. He's on his way. He's our man. The man, the myth, the legend. That's Dan. And now, the Kasper Show.
All right, second on this Friday morning before Memorial Day weekend. Part of your starts on this May 26th. Coming up, we'll get back to some more baseball talk with the Brewers game 2 coming up tonight against the Giants. We'll get to a little receive or defer. We got the Carpet City Flooring Center local sports spotlights coming at you too, but you know what time it is every Friday when that music starts to play a little bit.
Paging Dr. Crow. Breaking down the latest in sports injuries. It's time for Inside the Training Room with Dr. Crow.
You better call me a doctor. Feeling no pain.
On the Dan Kasper Show.
Somebody give me a doctor.
Dr. Crow joining us here this morning. Dude, appreciate you popping on. How you doing?
Fantastic.
That a boy. Hey, let's start talking a little bit with the Brewers. Now we know what the injury was to Wade Miley, And according to Adam McCauley from the Brewers, they said it's a rare injury for a baseball player. It was the posterior serratus muscle in his back, and they said it's rare for a baseball player to strain this muscle. Can you kind of explain what that muscle, what that injury is?
Yeah, so the serratus are muscles that rub essentially adjacent ribs. And the kind of more popular, well-known one is the anterior serratus. Like if you have guys who are like the He-Man chiseled six-pack, which, obviously we both have.
And Bob over there too, yeah, definitely.
Of course, yeah. So kind of like the muscles on the edge that look like the name implies, serrated. Right, that's the anterior ones. The posterior ones are analogous, but they're in the back. And so they have to do more with kind of the positioning with the shoulder blade. We honestly don't see injuries very often, so I would concur with who's ever saying it's a rare injury, because I can't think of many times I've come across injuries with it.
So it'd be kind of hard to speculate how he like pulled that or strained that, then I have to imagine.
I would agree. Yeah, I mean that would be something that would be, you'd have to imagine it's with the throwing motion because the shoulder girdle. But yeah, I would say it's hard to say definitively because it's just something we don't come across very often.
Mm-hmm. Eric Stokes, another player that we talked about last week, trying to figure out what was going on with him, the Packers cornerback. He this week at OTAs let everybody know that, one, he tore his meniscus in his knee, and then two, he had that dreaded Liz Frank injury in his foot, Austin, and then he said he just started running. He had this injury in November. He just started running a couple weeks ago. Is that a normal timeline with those injuries to just start picking up running?
Yeah, Liz Franks are bad, just plain and simple. They and there's a huge spectrum, like all injuries, but these tend to be more severe. And so, I mean, you're looking at truthfully 6, 9, 12-month recovery process. And even then, unfortunately, these injuries often do carry some baggage that's just kind of a lifelong thing.
And especially with a guy that relies on his speed quite a bit for Eric Stokes, I have to imagine if that's a little bit of a concern there too. And that is, something I think we've kind of a theme we talked about the last couple of weeks. For anybody who doesn't know what the Liz Frank injury is, it's because of that blood supply issue. That's the main thing, right?
Well, it's part of it. That's also one of the bones adjacent to it. It really more has to do with it's like such an integral part of the structure and stability of the foot. So people call it the cornerstone. It's like, the old Roman arch where you have like that cornerstone in the middle that holds the whole bridge up. That's what we kind of describe as for the Liz Frank. And so that injury, you essentially get a collapse of the entire foot. So the whole foot anatomy goes awry. And so it's really just a devastating injury, even though it is a relatively small ligament, or it can be a bony injury, but one of the two, you just get collapse of the foot, and it is a big, big deal.
I wonder if you did both of those in the same one, would it almost be like maybe the guy was landing on his foot and then he twisted his knee or something like that, all at once?
It's certainly possible. Yeah, it's certainly possible. I mean, generally speaking, the Liz Frank is going to be when you get a force like on the toes pushing up and the heel pushing down. A lot of times someone lands on their foot. You can also have just a real hard push off, but that's a little less typical. And then, menisci tend to be more twisting, but you could certainly get those in one injury, of course.
He's Dr. Crow inside the training room. Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine intern's got a question.
All right, Doctor, and I know we always talk about joints and muscles and things like that, but the heart is a muscle. This defensive back from Buffalo that had either the heart attack or the stroke on the field last year, and he's coming back. That just boggles my mind. The heart is, a pretty important muscle in our body, but what are we looking at here, and what is the doctor, heart specialist, obviously, and more than probably looking at him to okay him to come back? Is the heart back? Can it be back to where it was before this event happened to him on the field last year? How dangerous is it for him to come back? But when the doctors sign off, you have to think things are okay. But it really leaves a question in my mind.
Yeah, I think everyone from the outside is going to be thinking that exact same thought. It's like, it's hard to get them essentially dying on the field, right? Being revived. So it always makes everyone pause. So when you look at what actually happened to him, it just, as we know, it was an impact to the heart, and essentially what happens is it throws it into a irregular rhythm, and you stop circulating blood, boom, collapse, and everything that happened. Luckily, he received the care. We've talked about this in the past. Fantastic athletic training staff, the physicians, all just impressive work that they did to keep him alive. But really, once the heart recovers from that, it really should get back to being 100%. I can guarantee he's had both EKGs, which are basically looking at like the electrical activity in the heart, and also probably echocardiograms, where they're going to essentially look at the function of the heart, the muscles and contraction. And if that looks normal, he has a normal functioning heart, and we would expect him to bounce back fully from this. So his risk factor for having this again is low. So I think the odds of him going back to playing safely are very, very high. Of course, again, the scare factor is going to be there, and I'm sure he'll be a little nervous the first time he gets hit, but it really should be a safe condition to go back with. And of course, we would defer to cardiologists in this. So if I had an athlete that had this, we'd send him to a cardiologist for clearance. But I promise you, he's been seeing some of the best in the world.
Mm-hmm. And this was that very rare. I know you kind of mentioned it, talked about it when it first happened, but that hit, that was like the perfect timing of, I hate to say perfect timing, but I mean, the hit that he got was that perfect timing in that rhythm of that heart, correct?
Correct. Yeah. So basically, you have to get hit in the right spot in the heart at the exact right time during, like when we talked about the EKG, we're basically looking at the electrical activity of the heart. It has to do with like essentially the multiple contractions, electrical impulses that go through the heart in order to make it contract correctly, because the heart doesn't just squeeze like a single muscle, right? So it has 4 different chambers, and so you have your atria and your ventricles, and so it has a specific pattern in order to get the blood pumped between the chambers and then out of the heart. And so if you hit during a specific time of, I believe it's repolarization of one of the chambers, it sends the heart into basically ventricular tachycardia. So basically it's like quivering. It's not actually firing anymore. And that certainly doesn't push blood around. And so that's why you almost immediately collapse, because you're not circulating blood in your body at all.
Another hand injury I want to ask you about, with the Heat 1 game away from advancing to the NBA Finals, Wisconsin native Tyler Hero, who broke his hand in game 1 against the Bucks. And, they said he could be potentially back by the NBA Finals, in which we all kind of thought, well, that ain't going to happen because the Heat ain't going to advance. Well, here we are, just one win away now. But now, he's 5 weeks out from that injury. Initially, they were talking about 6 weeks. But now there's some speculation whether he could even play at all in the NBA Finals. But again, I think, again, not to put words in your mouth, Austin, but you've talked about the hand injury and that blood flow in there. And that's, maybe one of the quickest recoveries with a hand injury. He broke the 2nd and the 3rd metacarpal, for a little bit of reference.
Yep. So, yeah, I mean, we did discuss this. The blood supply to the hand is excellent, and that does result in bone healing faster. The hand is also non-weight bearing. So if, you break your tibia, you're going to run and walk on that. So the forces are going to go across there. That'll be a lot more impressive. So we do allow people to get back much more quickly with hand injuries than lower extremity injuries, for example. I mean, it is going to have to do with, how the surgeon who's treating him feels like the bone's healing, an extra pattern. So simple breaks where it's like one crack versus comminution where it's broken in multiple pieces, that all affects how quickly it heals and how, not only when the healing begins, but when it actually becomes structurally sound. Because, of course, basketball, in theory, is a non-contact sport, but there's plenty of contact. Obviously, he broke his hand playing basketball, so we know contact occurs. So the hand needs to be able to tolerate that. So you don't want to put him out there with the bone completely healed. He hits it, hardware breaks, and all of a sudden you're back at square one, or frankly, worse than square one. So they could even consider getting a CT scan to assess for bone healing. If they're looking at, cutting it to the day and saying, look, do we think there's enough bone healing? Let's get a CT scan to assess that. But that would be the determination by his hand surgeon. I just saw this quote from Tyler where he was describing the injury, and that just kind of made me quiver here a little bit. He said that I got to the back and seen right away my bones were like in my palm, and I pushed them up as I was going to the back, and said it was broken for sure. The 2nd and 3rd metacarpal, I think they're called, just snapped in half. Ooh. Gives you the heebie-jeebies there a little bit. Can you imagine your bones in your hand and your palm almost like that? Yeah. I mean, there's probably real significant displacement, right? So when you hit it hard enough, the bones went at an angle, and generally they actually go backwards towards the dorsum of the hand or back, but they can go towards the palmar side too. And we call that angulation. And so, I mean, the first thing we would do if we saw an athlete, we'd pull a little tension to straighten them out. It'd feel a heck of a lot better for the athlete right after you do that, not while you're doing it, of course, but it would feel a little bit better when they're straightened back out. And then you get x-rays to assess what it looks like. And again, a lot of times you don't have to fix metacarpal fractures, but when you break multiple or they're on the edges, mainly the second and the fifth, they just don't have as much support around them. So those are a little more likely to need fixation to get them to heal the right way.
Last question here for you, Austin. I know he's with the Jets now, but why does Aaron Rodgers continue to have calf injuries? It's kind of tongue in cheek there a little bit, but yeah. He's blaming, not blaming, but he kind of, in his coy comments saying, well, I would never in 18 years, never use medicine balls or, sleds or anything like that. And of course, the first time he's running with a sled, he tweaks a calf. And I think we've heard calf issues with Aaron Rodgers how many times at this point. And I know like back in the day when he was that 2014, I think he tore it. And if you look at it, it's really kind of disfigured a little bit. I don't know if it's because he didn't have surgery or something like that, but I mean, could it just be an old man at this point? I'm sorry, Aaron, but you're old.
Yeah, prima donna disease. No, it's yeah. I mean, he probably had. We've talked about this before, but just touch on it quickly. Those injuries almost certainly were going to be an injury at either the muscle itself or the muscle joining with the tendon. And those just are non-operative. I mean, you literally cannot fix those. So you can certainly get some deformity. So we'll see that sometimes in the pec and the chest wall or other muscle groups where it's an injury at the muscle, and it can lead to impairment, but there's just nothing you can do about it. And so when that heals, it heals with scar tissue. So certainly an area that would be much more prone to injury if you have someone like that. So, it happens, and, we certainly wish him the best out there. Kind of, right?
Kind of. I was waiting for the little
from a true Viking fan. Get out of town.
That's right.
Austin, dude, appreciate the time as always. Have a fantastic Memorial Day weekend, buddy, and we'll chat with you soon. Okay.
Absolutely, you guys as well.
Thank you. There you go, Dr. Crow inside the training room. Always love chatting with Austin there.
He's a great resource to have available.
Definitely. Besides the Vikings part.
Well. We've all got our crosses to bear.
All right. How about this? We'll take a quick break and we'll be back in just a couple minutes.
You're listening to the Dan Kasper Show.
Price, quality, customer service. That's the big three I look for when I'm looking to get a big project done. And sometimes it can be hard to find all those three in one place. But when it comes to replacing your flooring, one place hits all three of my marks. Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. They hit the pricing mark because they will match or beat the competition if you happen to find a better deal elsewhere. Quality is pretty easy because they have all the best and top-of-the-line flooring options that you could ask for. They carry the best brands in carpet, tile, luxury vinyl, and more. And customer service. I could talk to you throughout this entire commercial about their customer service. It's easily one of the best, most courteous, helpful, and friendly staffs you could work with. They're with you through every step of the process, from finding the floor that fits your budget and what looks good and works best in your home or office. Taking on big projects can be a little nervous to think about, but when it comes to replacing your flooring, that nervousness goes away with the help from Carpet City Flooring Center in Eau Claire. Just visit them today at 3109 East Hamilton Avenue in Eau Claire and see for yourself. Who doesn't love cooking up a good burger on the grill? Having a good burger is one of the most satisfying moments in your life. And now we have the perfect burger to put on the grill and create more satisfying moments in your life. It's the Dan Good Burger, available only at Hy-Vee in Eau Claire. This burger has bacon, cheese, and ranch seasoning all inside the patty to give you that perfect balance of taste and awesomeness in each bite. So head on over to Hy-Vee in Eau Claire and grab yourself a few Dan Good Burgers and fire up that grill.
Keep your spring showers hot with a new water heater from Hurlburt Heating and Plumbing. Extended through May, when you purchase a new furnace and air conditioner from Hurlburt, you'll get a free water heater. Consultations are always free, and interest-free financing is available too. Give us a call or visit us online at hurlburthp.com for more information. That's hurlburthp.com.
So, I have a question for all you guys out there. Why is it that I see you hauling all kinds of stuff in your trucks? Lumber, ATVs, furniture, and everything is strapped down tight, except you. I mean, come on, fellas. You're just as important as your buddy's blue plaid sofa. Buckle up.
Pickups rock. They also roll. Buckle up in your truck and arrive alive. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Transportation.
Don't miss the 16th annual Riding for a Reason rally to raise money for breast cancer awareness. Join us Saturday, June 3rd, starting at 10 a.m. at Loopy's in Chippewa Falls for a day of fun and camaraderie. Riders welcome, but feel free to bike or drive. Hey, it's all for a good cause. All proceeds go to Marshfield Clinic's mobile mammography unit. Don't miss it. The 16th annual Riding for a Reason rally, brought to you in part by this radio station. Saturday, June 3rd, starting and ending at Loopy's in Chippewa Falls. Register to ride at ridingforareasonrally.com.
Drive safely, Wisconsin. Highway workers are out on the road. They do it to better serve you. And just like you, they want to get home safely at the end of a hard day's work. When driving, all of us have a chance to set the right example. Be patient. Put down the phone. Never text and drive. Slow down and move over if possible to give workers a little extra room. Work zone safety. It's everyone's responsibility.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin DOT.
Suffer a sports injury or know someone who has and you don't know who to turn to? Rely on the experience of the sports medicine team at Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. When you experience any sports-related injury or issue, you can count on Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine on prompt, proper diagnosis and customized treatment plans to meet your goals. When it comes to getting back on the field of play, get back on there with the best team in the area. Request an appointment with Chippewa Valley Orthopedics and Sports Medicine today by visiting cvosm.com.
He's smart, informed, entertaining, and he knows his sports. In other words, he's the kind of guy I'd like to settle down with in a small, cozy cabin in the woods. That is, if he was a woman with a case of cold ones. The Dan Kasper Show, weekday mornings from 6 to 9.
Time for our Carpet City Flooring Center local sports spotlight. Usually we would have Brandon do this, but he's out, interns in. But I'm going to use Brandon as the resource here this morning. And we could go a lot of different ways because yesterday we had a lot of track and field meets, a lot of individual athletes punching their tickets to state track and field next week in lacrosse. We've got baseball, softball playoffs continuing, golf going on as well. We could give it to everybody, but I want to give because usually, smaller school, we may not see a lot of a focus on there, but I want to give a shout out to Trent Nitek from Cornell, Lake Holcomb. He won the sectional champ as a junior in the 200 yesterday, so he's going to be off to lacrosse. And as Brandon said, he's put up some of the fastest times in the entire state this spring. So shout out to that's our Carpet City Flooring Center local spotlights from Cornell, Lake Holcomb. Trent Nitek.
Attaboy, Trent, go for it. I'll tell you, it's about time we get some good weather for outdoor activities for the kids this year.
Definitely. So I didn't realize it the other day. I knew they were really dominant and really good. Eau Claire Memorial Golf is undefeated this year.
Yeah, golf and tennis.
Man, yeah, tennis just swept their sectional too, but holy moly. So, hey, speaking of golf, got to give a shout out. Today's the day for my golf coach to qualify for the U.S. Senior Open.
Really? Good for him.
Stevens Point Country Club. So
go get it.
We're actually going to be talking.
He didn't want you to be a caddy, huh?
Apparently not. I didn't get asked. But there was also, because he had sent me a link with some of the results from other places, and I didn't know this, but Troy Burton and Hudson was a qualifying location too.
Oh, I didn't know that either.
For the U.S. Senior Open, and I was looking at some of the scores. Holy moly! Yeah, so this was back on the 17th. 66 was the winning score. 66, and your alternates were at a 68. Oh,
whoa!
Yeah,
you better bring your putter.
Holy moly! I'm like, goodness gracious, those are some ridiculously good scores.
Yeah, they really are. A lot of great players, that's for sure.
Man, but.
Speaking of golf, and good luck to your coach. What's his name again?
Coach Vara.
Coach Vara. Good luck, Coach, over there at Stevens Point.
Country clubs over there. So
keep it out of the Flowers. Or no, they don't play at Central.
No, it's at the country club. Yep.
All right.
Yep.
Good luck, Coach. We want to see you in the big one.
Yep. And if he does, I'll probably head on over there too. We're going to be talking with some people from the U.S. Senior Open next week.
Oh, good,
Yep.
good. Yeah.
But go ahead. Didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I was just going to say, speaking of that, of, not straight PGA, that Michael Block that did so well at the PGA a week ago, you got into the tournament in Texas this week, and I don't think he's going to cut.
No, he opening round of 81 yesterday.
That was tough.
He did have a sweet shot off the bridge. I don't know if you saw that one.
No, I didn't see
He
it.
was like on a bridge and then got it onto the green there. But I think people probably shouldn't be too expected. Great story from the PGA last week. It was awesome.
I'm sure he's exhausted because everybody and their brother's been after him to be on TV, be on
radio,
on radio, chat
podcasts.
with everybody and their brother. And, he's living the dream. And I don't blame him. He's going to go back to Mission Viejo, California, and knowing that he's going to play in the PGA Championship next year down at Valhalla at Louisville. I mean, he's riding the wave, and I don't blame him.
Yep. So I did want to ask you this, speaking of golf, because Brooks won it, the PGA last week, live guy. But I know we all know your feelings on the live. Did it make you smile a little bit that he might not even have been the biggest story? It was Michael Block.
Well, that's what I was talking to the folks about that very thing, that, this was offset. And I don't take anything away from Brooks Koepka and his ability to play golf. He's a great player, and I think he's pretty nice. He's kind of aloof as far as, it's all about him, and, he's making a lot of money because people enjoy golf and he's great at it. So congratulations to him for winning the tournament. He's a great player. But yeah, we were talking about the same thing, that, it was almost secondary, especially when Michael Block, the club pro from California, gets a hole-in-one. To to qualify for, keep him qualified in the top 15.
Oh, he used that putt at the end to get that.
Yeah,
in there,
exactly.
Yeah.
But I mean, he made some big shots as well to get into the tournament next year.
Yep.
And I still have not seen the answer or heard the answer of how these guys qualify when they're not.
We went through it was special exemptions and they let them in.
But I wonder, is that how that's going to continue in the future? Past winners, he's going to obviously, as a past winner, be in. But for the rest of them,
there was certain top finishes at different tournaments.
Yeah, I know.
And
I know.
all that,
DeChambeau was what he won the U.S. Open in 2018 or 20. Now that's usually a 5-year exemption, but those are running out. So how many of these live guys? Patrick Reed, he won a major. How long is that going to happen? And these guys aren't PGA members anymore. So are they going to be out in the future? Brooks might be alone very soon in the PGA Championship from Live. And I did not see if Greg Norman was there. And they obviously
I don't think he was.
Yeah, and if he was, they sure didn't publicize it. And I give them credit. They, kind of played it on the down low. It wasn't like, oh, the greatest tour. We got the greatest player in the world, and he's on the Live Tour. I didn't hear any of that sort of stuff. So I think they were pretty first class about that. I will say that. It's just, it's a unfortunate situation, and it is what it is, but you can't take anything away from Brooks Koepka. He's great.
Yeah, definitely. So, but I was kind of curious how Michael Block was doing. I was following along a little bit yesterday, and then but again, I don't think if anybody thought that he was going to be a contender I'm not trying to knock Michael Block, but
no.
I mean, it's
he'd say the same thing,
right? Exactly. And then people yesterday were actually criticizing him because he was asked, I think he was asked the question, but what's the difference between you and Rory McIlroy? And he said, well, distance off the tee. And then people spin that, say, well, so you're saying you'd be as good as Rory if you could hit as long as Rory? And it's like, I think a lot of people would be really good if they could hit as well as Rory McIlroy. People, why are we doing that?
I don't know. Let the guy enjoy his 15 minutes of fame.
Right.
Because, until next year at the PGA after this week, he's back in California and he's going to be off the radar. Now, he is pretty good as a speaker.
Yeah.
He may be on some telecasts. Who knows?
He did some commercials back in the day for his golf course. He's actually pretty good at them.
Yeah. Like Bones, caddies for Justin Thomas now, and then he's on the broadcast out on the course.
Longtime Phil Mickelson caddy.
Yeah, exactly. And so this guy might get a part-time gig. He can work it out with his club back home. I'm sure he can. because it's just more glory for them back home at his club. So, he might not be done as far as being part of the media, but his days in the headlines are pretty much over.
He seems very natural in front of the camera and such.
Comfortable. Yeah.
I like it too because he just looks authentic. Like he's, and maybe it changed. I don't know, but he just, the reactions, especially when he found out he was playing with Rory and all that stuff. It was a cool moment. It was a cool moment for a major that we have often criticized, especially moving it around. So at least something out of that, like with his story was a positive.
Oh, there's no question. Big positive for him, for golf, just for the everyday fan that likes to watch golf and dream about, being good enough for a week, for 4 days to play with those guys. And he made his dream come true.
And yep, definitely. And then probably, getting that phone call from Michael Jordan too. He got a message from Jordan. It's like, man.
What did Jordan say to him?
I don't know exactly what he said, but he got a message.
I know he made the comment, I believe, that, these guys, what's the difference between you and the guys on the tour? He says, well, if I hit a bucket of balls, I'm paraphrasing, I don't know exactly, but, if I hit a bucket of balls a week, that's a lot. And these guys are hitting thousands of practice balls every day. And so for him to come in and do what he did, and I'm sure he probably prepared a little bit before, hit more practice balls before he went to the PGA last week. But basically, he just doesn't have time to work on his own game. He's busy instructing others.
Right.
$150 a lesson.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
He said on the Dan Patrick Show the other day, his irons are 12 years old.
Yeah. He said his
grooves are all gone.
Yeah,
or something.
7, 8, 9 wedges. He said the grooves are all gone. So I need new irons.
So I'm like, yes. Been there,
Boy, you can, how many
endorsement opportunities came up that way.
I just thought, oh man, this guy's soliciting for an
he played that
endorsement
perfectly
deal. Yes,
too.
he did. He's going to get not only new clubs, he might end up with a whole lot more than that.
Yep. This was on a Sports Center segment, but he said that my Nike rep texted me and is like, "Did you get MJ's text?" And I'm like, what? MJ texted me. I had thousands upon thousands of texts, so I couldn't see anybody's. So I literally spent a half an hour going through all the texts until I found him. Don't know how he got my number. Well, if Jordan wants your number, Jordan's going to find your number.
He's going to get your number, right?
He's going to find it somehow. So
what did Jordan text him?
He didn't say. It was just a congratulatory text. So, but yeah, still pretty cool.
I'm sure Jordan says, want to play for $500 a hole or something like that.
Well, you want to talk about, he knows it. This was his comment too. I'm like, oh, dude is smart. I wear Jordans. That's all I do. I love Jordans. It's so good. I love playing golf in them. That's the thing. I feel like I play better golf with Jordans. The sole of them is amazing. Signed, sealed, delivered. There's a check in the mail probably too.
And you can bet Jordan will probably be at his club in Mission Viejo.
Mm-hmm.
And, who knows, fundraiser or round of golf, who knows? But, the guy has made some hay while the sun's been shining.
Mm-hmm. Have you been in that area? I know you've been to California quite a bit. Have you been around that area?
Yeah, I'm not familiar with it, but I've been around
that area. So
it's all built up. It all runs into itself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All these communities.
Gotcha. Before we take a break and get to receiver deferred, let's do some sports nuggets of the day. Brought to you by Ansi Associates. It was 1896 in Manhattan Beach, New York. The first American intercollegiate bicycle race was held. Walt Cruz, 1917, hit the first home run out of Braves Field. Ty Cobb, 1925, became the first Major League Baseball player to collect 1,000 extra base hits. Steve Carlton, 1980, with the Phillies, became the first National League player to record 6 one-hitters. 1988, the Edmonton Oilers won their 4th NHL Stanley Cup in 5 seasons. And 1990, with the great one. 1990, the Philadelphia Phillies retired Mike Schmidt's number 20. Those are just some of your sports nuggets of the day, brought to you by our good friends from Ansi Associates. All right, let's take a break, and then we'll get to receive or defer to finish up the second hour here. Interns already teased one, little hoops basketball one out there. So we'll see what he's thinking about. plus a few other ones. We'll be back.
Got a take on today's topic, but can't call in? Then hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, or the text line and let your fingers do the talking.
Now that we've gotten some decent weather, we're now more active outside, mowing the lawn, golfing, working on completing some projects. But with all that, that also means you're probably getting a little sore in the back, neck, and shoulders. It sounds like you need a quick adjustment, which means it's time to go visit Dr. Logan at Shepke Chiropractic. With us all being more active this time of year, chances are that we're going to need a few adjustments to our neck and back. That's why at Shepke Chiropractic, their goal is to work with each patient to achieve their goals and perform to their fullest potential in the capacity that their life requires. So don't let your neck or back pain slow you down on your busy summer. Let Shepke Chiropractic help you get adjusted so you're able to get those rounds of golf in or complete those outdoor projects this year. And Shepke Chiropractic has 2 locations to better serve you. All you have to do is visit ShepkeChiropractic.com to learn more and to schedule your appointment. Your journey to a healthier and more fulfilling life starts at Shepke Chiropractic.
Keep your spring showers hot with a new water heater from Hurlburt Heating and Plumbing. Extended through May, when you purchase a new furnace and air conditioner from Hurlburt, you'll get a free water heater. Consultations are always free, and interest-free financing is available too. Give us a call or visit us online at hurlburthp.com for more information. That's hurlburthp.com.
So, I have a question for all you guys out there. Why is it that I see you hauling all kinds of stuff in your trucks? Lumber, ATVs, furniture, and everything is strapped down tight, except you. I mean, come on, fellas. You're just as important as your buddy's blue plaid sofa. Buckle up.
Pickups rock. They also roll. Buckle up in your truck and arrive alive. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Transportation.
Don't miss the 16th annual Riding for a Reason rally to raise money for breast cancer awareness. Join us Saturday, June 3rd, starting at 10 a.m. at Loopy's in Chippewa Falls for a day of fun and camaraderie. Riders welcome, but feel free to bike or drive. Hey, it's all for a good cause. All proceeds go to Marshfield Clinic's mobile mammography unit. Don't miss it. The 16th annual Riding for a Reason rally, brought to you in part by this radio station. Saturday, June 3rd, starting and ending at Loopy's in Chippewa Falls. Register to ride at ridingforareasonrally.com.
Drive safely, Wisconsin. Highway workers are out on the road. They do it to better serve you. And just like you, they want to get home safely at the end of a hard day's work. When driving, all of us have a chance to set the right example. Be patient. Put down the phone. Never text and drive. Slow down and move over if possible to give workers a little extra room. Work zone safety. It's everyone's responsibility.
Sponsored by the Wisconsin DOT.
So, I have a question for all you guys out there. Why is it that I see you hauling all kinds of stuff in your trucks? Lumber, ATVs, furniture, and everything is strapped down tight, except you. I mean, come on, fellas. You're just as important as your buddy's blue plaid sofa. Buckle up.
Pickups rock. They also roll. Buckle up in your truck and arrive alive. Sponsored by the Wisconsin Department of Transportation.
As a roofer, I don't have time to fail. Homeowners rely on me, so I rely on Beacon. Beacon's unique network of branches work together to get me what I need when I need it. Every branch working together. And with the new Beacon Pro Plus app, I've got the brands I depend on, like GAF, right at my fingertips. Now through June, purchase online with Beacon Pro Plus, web or app, and earn up to $1,500. Beacon, always building.
Stand by as we continue our dig for the truth and the toy at the bottom of the cereal box. Oh, got it. The Dan Kasper Show.
Got a quick receiver defer from the G-Man. Are we going to crack open another bottle of wine?
Oh, that's right. Well, maybe next Thursday. It's getting...
Yeah.
Well...
Yeah.
I can handle that.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go. Yeah,
I like that dandelion wine last week, by the way, and we passed it around to a lot of people, these little shot glasses type thing, and everybody liked it.
Yeah, they did.
Dandelion wine. I said, well, just try it before you turn your nose up.
Yep.
and they tried. Oh, that's pretty good.
It was. So
very good.
If you're in, I'm in. Maybe right at the top.
Yeah, we'll go crack her open again.
Okay. Pass it around to
we'll
whoever
see what
is
flavor.
here.
We got some flavors in there.
Yep.
Strawberry, raspberry, blueberry. I don't know. They're all kinds of them.
So yeah, we'll do that. We'll dabble.
Good
we'll
idea.
dabble into
You
one.
bet.
So
You bet.
all right, you ready for a little receive or defer here this morning, big boy?
Anytime you are.
What's on your mind?
Well, this one, from watching these playoffs this year, receive or defer, these playoffs and the players' performances in them reinforces that Michael Jordan is the GOAT.
Yes.
I mean, Jimmy Butler, greatest player of all time. Where's he been? He disappeared. Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown. No. The Joker's the only guy, I mean, including LeBron and AD, the Joker's the only guy in these playoffs that I would say has been consistently great. And when you get to the playoffs, I'm not saying good. When you get to the playoffs, you got to be great. Jimmy Butler had been great. Last couple of games, Tatum and Brown have been, great. Michael Jordan was always great. LeBron, I don't think played real well. He had his
he had
up
great
moments.
half, and then
he had great moments. But I think the performances. Well, I'm asking the question. I don't need to give my opinion. What do you think?
Oh, Jordan, yeah, definitely. You should. This might be a little bit of a tease. So yesterday, Brandon and I recorded a podcast. We had a little fun with this. We drafted our just players from the 90s, 1990 to 1999 NBA players. So we drafted. Couldn't have repeats. We all knew where the first pick was going to be. So it was an intense game of rock, paper, scissors to get the first pick.
Exactly.
I got it.
Ooh. So who did he pick first?
He went with, so it's strategy, if you think about it, because it's straight from 1990 to 1999. And we were actually talking about this before we did it because we were kind of going through some of the players. It was a big man era. You had some great Shaq, Hakeem, so you could probably afford, it's not necessarily the second best player, but if you think about it, outside of Scottie Pippen, who was the next small forward that you would pick from 1990 to 1999?
Probably Kobe, wouldn't you?
Kobe was a two guard.
Well,
and that's,
but he'd have been my pick.
But
anyway.
That's only 2 years in 1990 in the 90s.
Well, that's true. That's true.
So it was kind of strategy. He went with Pippen because then you're down to, I went with Dominique for my small forward, but it's him, Chris Mullin, and it's not to knock those guys, but the gap in between them is
unbelievable.
It's big. Whereas the center, you got a few options to go from there. So he went with Pippen. Then I'm a Shaq guy, but I went with Olajuwon because 1990 to 1999, that dude was unreal.
Well, when Jordan was out, they won.
Yep. So I had Jordan and Olajuwon as my top two.
That's pretty good road to the finals, that's for sure. But I mean, watching these guys perform, what's the matter with Jimmy Butler all of a sudden the last two games?
Getting
well, that's
head?
what I'm wondering. And and Bam Adebayo, he's just absolutely. Last night, I only watched the first half of the game. Turnovers, missed layups, what's going on with these guys?
Yeah, because what was it? Butler, after their first loss, he just kind of like brushed off, not worried.
Yeah, we're going to go drink beer and wine.
Yeah, and, we'll say, nah, yeah. I'd be a little bit nervous now.
Yeah, but Bam Adebayo, I think was horrible last night.
Yeah, but... Yeah, you don't have to convince me about when it comes to Jordan being the GOAT, the greatest of all time. I love the fact that, the last few years, too, we've been hearing more stories about Jordans, just some of these stories. Like there was another one that I was watching. It was, who was it? Who was the Lakers shooting guard back in the early 90s? Was it Cooper? Was it Michael Cooper?
Well, I wouldn't call him a shooting guard.
No,
he was kind of a
who was Byron Scott? It was Byron Scott, I think. And I think Byron Scott was hurt or something like that. And they were doing shoot around, and Jordan approached him. Maybe it wasn't Byron Scott. Anyways, it was Jordan's like, well, who's gonna cover me? And I can't remember the guy's name, but he's like, oh, it's going to be Cooper. And I think that's who it was. He's like, it's going to be Cooper.
Cooper was a defensive specialist.
Or something like that. I'm getting the names mixed up, but Jordan goes, 50. And what does he do? He drops 56 that night. So it might've been Cooper that was out for that game and then somebody else had to cover him because Jordan was asking who's going to cover me. And, he said whatever, and Jordan's reaction, 50, and he walked away. And he dropped 56.
I remember one time when the same thing with the Lakers that Kurt Rambis, the guy with the big black horn rim glasses, he was going to cover Jordan. Kind of like the guy.
Jeez.
Kurt, kind of like the guy that tried to cover LeBron from Memphis this year.
Yeah.
Dylan? Yeah, had absolutely no chance. Why don't those guys just shut up and play the game? Because
unless you back it up like Jordan or Bird or something like that.
Yeah, and even MJ or even LeBron, when these guys get in their face and try, good luck with that.
Yeah, don't upset the lion.
No,
don't poke the bear.
No,
it's like, I get it. You got confidence. That's awesome. That's great. But as soon as you put it out there and that other person hears it, you're poking that bear.
Well, when you got to spout it like that,
yeah,
that's liquid type of confidence. Like I've had 3 or 4 beers now. I'll say anything.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
5 shots of dandelion wine.
Exactly. But you don't do that sort of stuff.
There was this is actually kind of, and not to overtake the whole thing, but where a lot of people, I think it was Scottie Pippen who said this with the whole GOAT conversation. This was a few years ago. LeBron or Jordan, and LeBron had said that he thinks he's the best or whatever, and then there's a clip of Jordan saying, I don't like talk about that because it's a disrespect to the guys who came before me. He said, I never played against Jerry West or any of those guys. And that's where a lot of people, like Pippen was one of them that said, if you're the greatest, you don't say you are the greatest. It's for us to just, to talk about that in a debate sort of thing too. And I don't think Jordan ever, doubted that he is one of the best of all time. But
absolutely.
I don't think he, there's a clip of him saying that, no, he's like, that's a different eras. I'd never played against, Wilt or Bill or anything like that. So.
And I think Jordan had more fun, like in the example you just said talked about with the Lakers. I think he had more fun jabbing these other guys, knowing he was that much better. That say what you want. When it's all said and done, we'll see what the numbers say. And I think he enjoyed that more than any other discussions of and you don't want to be tied down with that. That's for sports writers and broadcasters to debate, not for the players themselves. And I am surprised that LeBron would say that he thinks he's the greatest of all time. Like Jordan said it perfectly. I can't say that. I didn't play against those guys.
Right. Yeah. So, all right. Did you have any more?
No, that was my
you
one.
Just had one?
Well, right now, you never know.
You just might pop one in, and after you have a couple of shots,
give me a shot of wine. I might have a whole bunch of them.
I'm lost track now here too. So
where is that wine in your?
It's over here.
Oh, good.
It's in the studio here. I gotta make sure the cork is.
I was gonna say we gotta make sure the corkscrew is there. We'll pop her on the air again.
There was speaking of trash talking, I was watching a clip the other day. It was in the Olympics, and Kobe was trash talking in Spanish to the Spanish team. There was
really,
yeah, it was. I don't know who the guy was, but you could hear like the mics were on, and he was talking trash in Spanish to the Spain team, and the guys.
And that's interesting because Spain was pretty good with the two brothers. One's with the Lakers, won the championship with the Lakers.
Oh, Gasol.
Yep. Yeah, Paul Gasol, and they were very respectable players.
And I think the one guy's like, just talking English, it sounds better in English, And then you could hear like LeBron kind of trying to calm Kobe down. He's like, all right, Kobe. And I'm like, LeBron, I know you're LeBron, but I probably wouldn't tell Kobe what to do at that point. And then what did Kobe do? He stole the ball the next possession, dunked it. So.
Yep. And that'd be a receiver defer. Is Kobe underrated as far as the GOAT talk is concerned?
He is the unfortunate of being in the middle of Jordan and LeBron.
Yeah, unfortunate. And the guy was so special. I mean, when he came out of high school, he was better than anybody that was in college at that time, as it turned out.
Jerry West hit that one on the head, didn't he?
Oh, boy, I'll tell you when he had Charlotte drafted him, and then he had it all worked out that he was going to trade day for
Vlade Divac for Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Man.
Jerry West knew what he was doing.
holy moly, did he ever. Great NBA executive, not for that, but then he turned around Memphis when he was there for a little bit.
Yep. Didn't he? Was he there when they drafted Ja Morant?
Don't think so.
Okay.
No.
And what's the latest on him? Have you heard the final decision from Manfred yet that they're going to...
Or Silver?
Or Rob Silver, I'm sorry. But they're going to... He's got to be gone for at least half next year.
You would think so. I did see that just the other day, the police had to actually conduct a welfare check on him because of some Instagram posts that he was posting. Kind of almost maybe suicidal stuff out there. But
the picture, the world he got too big for the world all of a sudden, and he couldn't handle it. And boy, that's too bad, because he's a great player, great talent.
Mm-hmm. So, but I haven't heard anything. Maybe they're waiting until after the playoffs and that to probably, kind of, not to take away any attention from the finals and such.
That's not going to be a good news story. So they only want good news stories now, and maybe when they need some attention after the season's over, they'll decide that something has to be done.
Mm-hmm.
I can't imagine they're going to ban him from the league, but I think the minimum is half a year.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Receive or defer. The Celtics win this series now that they've won 2 in a row. Can they come back and win it?
I'm gonna defer that, because I just can't imagine that Bam Adebayo, Jimmy Butler don't wake up again. Because the last 2 games,
maybe this was the wake up call they needed.
Yep, exactly. So I'm gonna defer that. Say I still think Miami's going to win this series.
Receive or defer. Is LeBron going to retire this year after he hinted at that possibility?
No, I'll defer that.
I'll defer that too.
It's like Rodgers. You're not turning down $40-50 million, even though LeBron's a billionaire with all his business interests. But, still in all, he's a human being. And you look at $50 million or $40 million, whatever his salary is, it's up in that area.
Mm-hmm.
You can't walk away from that.
And
the thing is, and he's in charge at the Lakers, basically.
Yeah.
If he wants to play, he'll play. If he wants to take a load management day or whatever.
He wants Kyrie Irving. They're probably going to try to get Kyrie Irving.
I would think they're going to try somehow.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, too, with all these, and I know it necessarily wasn't a question, but after season-ending pressers of long seasons, we need to take, regardless of whatever sport, those comments like that with a grain of salt too, because we've all been there, or not at that level, but I remember, okay, basketball season's done, thank goodness, I just needed a break. Then you get excited to play, but you get a little burnt out, a lot of people were taking it as like, whoa, dude was playing hurt, he's probably going to need surgery, long season, he is older. Take it with a grain of salt a little bit too.
Or is this a way for him to keep his name in the headlines now that the Lakers are all done for the year?
Or something I was seeing there too, if he was serious about this, does he take the year off, watches his kid at USC for a year, and then says, I will sign with whatever team drafts my kid?
The caveat being, is kid going to be good enough to go into the draft after 1 year?
I could see one team just being an idiot and drafting them for money because they know they're going to get jersey sales and ticket sales because they'll have the James duo over there.
Oh, yeah. As we said, it's a business now.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. If it don't matter about winning at this point, if it's a team that's struggling, I don't know what team that would be off the top of my head at this point, but they'd fill the seats.
Oh, absolutely.
Every single home game.
Oh, you bet.
So, but that was thrown out there too. Could he take the year off, be a free agent, watch his kid play college hoops, and make that declaration? Which at the same time, it's like, okay, you're kind of putting a lot of pressure on your kid though too, aren't you? A little bit,
does the kid want to play with his dad?
Has anybody asked that?
If my dad is one of the top 2, 3, 4, 5 players ever, do I want to play with him? Because I'm not even close to that. I'm just run of the mill. He's very good, but I'm just run of the mill compared to my dad. Do I want to get involved in that? And then how much would LeBron defer to the kid?
Right.
As far as, do I take this open shot? No, Bronny's open, I'm going to throw it to him.
Well, and the other part of this, if Bronny's not that good, LeBron's going to say, you got to play him.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
If he's like, shouldn't be drafted, but he was drafted, Bron's going to be like, no, I want to be on the court with my kid. I don't want him sitting on the bench. So you're going to have to deal with that too. Whoever the head coach is, or maybe he's coach player. I don't know.
I think we'll know by halfway through the college season whether or not this kid is going to get drafted or come out in the draft, or whether he can even make it in the NBA, because LeBron at his age can't afford to have the kid go a year in the G League and a year overseas and then try and come back. By that time, he's 40, 42, 43 years old. And let's face it, you're definitely on the downhill pull at that time.
Yeah.
Receiver to fur, the Lakers are going to trade Anthony Davis in the offseason. I've heard some of that talk.
If it came down to AD or Kyrie.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I think it's going to be.
I think they'll go Kyrie because that's what LeBron.
Well, and AD is
you can't
not
rely
consistently
on him,
reliable because he tweaks his injuries, tweaks his body all the time in these games, and
What did Charles Barkley call him? Like a suit player or something like that, because he's always wearing a suit because he's on the bench.
Something like that. Yeah.
But I love Charles.
So do I. That's why the other night after Game 3, he says, "Well, look at it this way. The Celtics continue to play like this, we're going to get an early vacation because we're done after this series."
What did he I think it was after the Lakers clinched to face the Nuggets. He was out there saying, Denver, Sean Payton hooked me up with some golf courses because we're going to Denver. And everybody's like, oh, you're discrediting the Lakers? They ain't winning. Just going. And he
says it like it is.
Yep. Final hour on this Friday before Memorial Day weekend. Do we get the Memorial Day parade, right? That's still
Absolutely.
okay.
Starts about 9:30.
Okay. So I just thought of that too. And I'm like, oh yeah, we should get that out there.
Beautiful day for that.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
It should be
Absolutely.
a huge crowd. Yeah.
With it being Memorial Day, thank you to those who have served and made the ultimate sacrifice.
Yeah, and I heard somebody say this the other day. I didn't say this. I heard somebody else say it, but it's so appropriate the way we honor and recognize our servicemen and women. We have Veterans Day for all those that served, came home, and took off their uniforms. We have Armed Forces Day for those that are currently serving and currently wearing the uniform. And we have Memorial Day for those that joined the service, put on the uniform, and never took it off because they didn't come home. So, there's a difference in those days. And this is
that one just kind of hit the way
you bet.
Right
They
there.
never got a chance to take the uniform off.
Mm-hmm.
And there's also up in Bloomer this weekend, they have a memorial. And I'm going to try and get there. I got to find out more details on the where and times. If anybody knows, text the captain, let us know. But it's in Bloom for all Wisconsin servicemen and women who died in the service. It's not just their names on a wall; their pictures are there too. And on my high school class, I was in the class of '65, and that was right during the heat of the Vietnam conflict. And I lost, the last count, it was about 6 class members in Vietnam. And I want to go up there and look and see their pictures in their uniform. I mean, the Vietnam Wall, if you've ever been to Washington, D.C. and seen the Memorial Wall, it is a spectacular place with all the names and the wall has traveled, and we've had a chance to see a replica of it around here. But those are the names. These are their pictures.
I Googled it here for you. So I
did
got
you?
it. Yep. Wisconsin Remembers, a face for every name of Vietnam veterans exhibit.
Yeah.
So it starts tomorrow, noon to 4, Sunday, 2 to 6.
Noon to 4, 2 to 6.
And then Monday is 12:30 to 4:30.
Oh, good. Monday, 12:30 to 4:30.
Yep. And it's free.
Where is it?
It's at the Veterans Memorial Clubhouse.
That's Memorial Clubhouse in Bloomer.
Yep. 13th Avenue.
All right.
Just reading a little bit here. Wisconsin Remembers is a tribute to lost life and lost potential. This traveling exhibit features a photo for each of the 1,161 Wisconsinites officially listed on the Vietnam Veterans Memorial in Washington, D.C. The exhibit was created in partnership with Wisconsin Public Radio, PBS Wisconsin, and the Wisconsin Veterans Museum, Wisconsin Newspapers Association, Milwaukee PBS, and the High Ground.
All right. So this is just Vietnam.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was under the mistaken impression that it was all members of the service, but that would have been a tremendous number because a lot of Wisconsinites have given the ultimate sacrifice. So again, I'm going to try and make it up there one of those 3 times. But
they got and then at 1 to 1:30, they've got it's called Badger Aces, Wisconsin Fighter Aces book presentation. So that's from 1 to 1:30.
But that's up in Bloomer this weekend.
Yep.
So anyway, but again, and the Gold Star parents and Gold Star families, it's a special weekend, and it's we're honoring, we're not celebrating, we're honoring those that didn't take the uniform off.
Yep, exactly. So, all right. So we got about 10 minutes past the hour here. Let's talk.
And we did.
We did
crack open a new bottle. You chose.
We went with the raspberry.
All right.
Because that's where the corkscrew was in that slot. So I just cracked that one. That's the one I
and I
chose.
dearly love raspberries, but I hate the seeds. And
really?
There are no seeds in the raspberry.
I love raspberries. I wish my neighbor when I was growing up always had a raspberry patch across the street in the city of Medford, big city of Medford there. But once in a while, we'd always get a bucket full. Brought over on that. I love raspberries.
I love the taste, but the seeds drive me nuts.
So are you the same with strawberries and with the seeds?
Well, strawberry, they're different.
Yeah.
They're different. They're not the same, but here's to you.
Cheers, sir.
Wonderful weekend, everybody.
Definitely. So.
Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good.
So you might be coming back in here.
I'll be back over the next commercial. What time are we going to commercial break?
Have you hit the golf course yet?
No, haven't. My kid's coming this weekend. He's bringing his club, so hopefully we're gonna.
Is he bringing the wiener putter?
He might have it. If he's got it in his bag, I'll leave. I'll make him leave it here, and I'll bring it in and show it to you.
Yes, please do. The Wienermobile putter. Maybe I should be a little bit more specific.
Yeah, not the Frankmobile. I still think that's stupid. Frankmobile.
Yeah, I don't know. I just want to see this putter. I want to see this putter. So.
Yeah, that's it's a classic. It's one of a kind.
I might have to borrow it for the classic coming up in August if you leave it up here. So
well, that can probably happen too.
Yeah, just saying. So don't forget, if anybody wants to register, we're the early bird almost out for the morning. Everybody's been signing up, so we got 2 sessions, 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. We'll have more available later on, but the early bird registration for the morning, you guys are filling that one up really quickly. Just head to our website, sportstalk1051.com. So yeah, it looks like he's got one in.
Text him right now and tell him to bring the wiener putter with him.
Attaboy. I want to see this. So when did you get this thing?
My 40th birthday. They had a surprise birthday party for me.
That was your birthday present?
One of my buddies worked at Oscar Mayer.
Mm-hmm.
And he somehow got an Oscar Mayer wiener putter and gave it to me for my 40th birthday. And when I started using it, I was pretty good with it. And then, like everything else, every other part of my golf game, it all went to pot. But it's still fun. It's still a conversation item.
This is the second time this week, and it's not just because of you. We've actually talked about Oscar Mayer wiener.
Really?
It was Tuesday when RJ was on, and he was talking about because Pat Richter was like one of the executives over there, wasn't he, before he was an AD for Wisconsin? So yeah, he just kind of mentioned, he's like, because we were talking about athletic directors and some of like the backgrounds. It's not necessarily just all sports like Barry Alvarez was.
Mm-hmm.
A lot come from business side of things too. And
well, he was an attorney. Mm-hmm. Pat Richter went through law school.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then as RJ said, was over at Oscar Mayer when they were a Madison thing back in the day. So
yeah, he was. If he'd have stayed at Oscar Mayer, he'd have been, moving right up the line, obviously.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but good old days, huh?
Oh yeah, and Pat Richter's still around Madison there. I don't know. Well, he's got to be pushing 80 years old now.
Wow.
But still, I haven't seen him for a while. But last time I saw him, he was very active.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. Brewers chat here. So 3 more games coming up with the Giants this week. Get Freddie Peralta on the mound here. Owen Miller, everybody's favorite player right now, the Wisconsin native, went hitless last night, but still doesn't diminish the season he's been having for this Brewers team so far. So forcing Craig Counsell to keep him in that lineup. Brewers will start to get a little healthier. Luis Urias is scheduled, could be back next week. Then they've got some decisions after that, but I think we're all just waiting for some pitchers to get healthy here at this point.
Yeah, we are. Pitchers get healthy, and the thing is, all Urias getting healthy and these guys coming back in, they're all kind of fit in a mold. They're good fielders. They're moderate as far as power is concerned. It's not something you never count on as far as one of these guys hitting the home runs, that whole group of players. And how consistent are they going to be hitting? It's not like the Cardinals. They got Goldsmith and Arenado.
Mm-hmm.
They got some home run hitters you can count on to hit a home run. The Brewers don't have that.
Mm-hmm.
And so these guys are all in the same mold, kind of. And hopefully some of them will step out of that mold and force Counsell to play them every day because of their performance. I mean, Miller's been playing great, but when Urias comes back, what's that going to do to his playing time?
Right.
And I want to see Terang get back into some of the early season success he was having, because he's and he's only a rookie, so I'm not criticizing the kid, but he's just he's kind of feeling the pressure of playing every day, and it's a job. It's a lot of work to play every day and keep yourself healthy and stay in shape.
Yeah.
So, you got to get into that routine. And so hopefully as the year goes on, some of these guys will be able to step up and be everyday players without a question.
Yeah, I mean, him and Weimer have been really great defensive players, showing off their speed in that. You just hope now with more playing time and experience, that offense will start to come and be a little bit more consistent on that level too.
Yeah, and I think Weimer is going to be a valuable part of this team going forward with Taylor coming back. Weimer doesn't have to play every day.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's going to be more of a spot player, and I think too, at that point in time, he's going to be a lot more valuable. And I think it's his confidence playing every day as a rookie like that is, you know, you're facing pitchers every day that are, you know, just active. They're in the major leagues. They're good pitchers. That's the bottom line. And so I think there's a lot of positives going forward for the Brewers.
Yeah. Yep. Freddie Peralta, as we mentioned, will get the start tonight for the Crew. Kind of do a little bit of a preview on this. Peralta is going to be looking for his 6th win of the season. He's 5-3 so far this year. Looking at the lineup that he'll be facing, not a ton of experience with Peralta going up against this Giants lineup. In fact, it looks like maybe just a game's worth, so not a ton of experience there. On the flip side, we got another left-handed pitcher going up against the Brewers, Alex Wood. He's looking for his 1st win of the season. He has started 5 games and has appeared in 6. He's got some Brewers with a lot of experience. Ironically, Christian Yelich, 35 at-bats, is hitting 400 against them. The Brewers, new player Ruff from a couple weeks ago, he's hitting 417 and 17 at-bats.
Got robbed last night of a home run.
He did, yep.
Give credit to Ostrowski, made
yep.
a great play.
Yep. But that's about it. Otherwise, you got, Brian Anderson's got 5 at-bats against him, 400. But Brewers have struggled against left-handed pitching this year. Hopefully some of these guys who have had experience or success with them can kind of lead the charge coming up tonight. But we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, they're in first place, and, you know, do you say we just tread water till we get hot? Because, you know, the Brewers played well right out of the gate and have kind of backed off. There have been ebbs and flows as we've gotten into this part of the season, but I'd like to see them get hot and, you know, win 4 or 5 in a row, 7 or 8 out of 10, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And put a few more numbers on the right side of the win column there.
Looking across Major League Baseball, I am really intrigued outside of the Central, but really intrigued with how the AL East is shaping up so far.
Baltimore.
Yeah. Baltimore 5-1 in their last 6. 5-1 this AL East road trip that they were just on. 7-3 in their last 10. They're in second place in the AL East, right behind the dominant Tampa Bay Rays. They're 3 games behind them. The Yankees are in 3rd. Toronto's in last place right now, 26-25.
And they're having some upheaval. I saw they had a players-only meeting, so I don't know what that's all about. But yeah, they're not doing what people thought they might.
No, Baltimore kind of proven last year might have not have been a fluke for this team. And in the offseason, I know there was some fans kind of maybe like Brewers fans, a little disappointed their team wasn't aggressive in the offseason by adding players to kind of pick up where they left off. But something's cooking in Baltimore right now because they're playing some really good baseball in a division that, I don't think anybody really slept on. Tampa is like, oh, they're always there. But to see how it's all playing out right now with Tampa at 37-15, Baltimore at 33-17, I don't think anybody thought that those would be 2 of the best records in all of Major League Baseball. I mean, when you want to look at win percentage, those are the 2 highest all across Major League Baseball, Tampa and Baltimore. Tampa's got a 712 win percentage. Baltimore is 660. The next highest is Texas at a 633.
And I don't think a lot of people thought Texas would be doing that.
They spent a
well
lot of
either.
money, so it's finally working here a little bit, but we'll see if it actually pans out that way because, you still got Houston to deal with.
You do. And Houston is, going to get in the groove as the season goes along. But like I said earlier, how much money could you have gotten to say that some team, I don't care if the Brewers did it, but any team was going to shut out Houston 2 games in a row.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. I agree. So I'm really I'm liking how this AL East is shaping up. It's providing for some drama. Yankees fans are upset and, criticizing Boone and wondering what the heck's going on over there. And, you mentioned Toronto and nope, it's Tampa and Baltimore sitting on top of the AL East.
Well, that's a good thing.
I like it.
Yep.
You want to guess what the payrolls are for those two teams?
I would imagine they're about 1/3 of what the Yankees payroll is right now.
Let's bring it up with where Baltimore
It has to be right around where the Brewers are.
Well, I don't think a big surprise. The team with the lowest payroll in baseball is
Oakland.
The team with the second lowest payroll in baseball,
Probably Baltimore.
Very good. The team with the third lowest payroll, Pittsburgh.
That's right. Pittsburgh and Cincinnati have to be down there.
And then Tampa's got the fourth lowest. So
they always do, and they always they always find young players that can play. I don't know how they do it.
Think about this. And I mean, Pittsburgh was in first place and they're only 1.5 back.
Yeah.
So you look at 3 of the 4 lowest payroll teams in baseball are either first or second in their divisions, and 2 of them have the best winning percentage in all of baseball right now.
And I credit the general managers for working hard and, really looking between the lines. You're in New York, it's easy to say, well, this guy's great, let's go sign him. Can't do that in these other markets. You got to find good young players or good utility players that once you give them a chance to play, they're going to perform for you. So those are very valuable general managers and teams like that can put that payroll on the field and perform the way they've done. Anybody can put the Dodgers and San Diego and the Yankees on the field, but to do it in some of these other markets, that's a pretty darn good front office.
It absolutely is. The top 4 highest or biggest payrolls in all of Major League Baseball in their standings right now. The highest is the Mets. They're second in their division, but just 1 game over 500, 26 and 25. Then it's the Yankees, who's third in their division. Padres, you mentioned a little bit earlier. Right now, the Padres, they are 4th in their division, 4 games under 500.
Yeah, and with a lineup that Machado and Soto and the other guys, they're talking hundreds of $1 million they're paying these guys for that kind of a performance.
Mm-hmm. And then the 4th highest paid team is Philadelphia, who's 4th in their division and 4 games under 500.
Yep.
It's just,
don't feel sorry for any of them.
I love it.
Yeah,
it's awesome. By the way, Milwaukee, in case you were wondering, they are 20th in payroll. This actually kind of surprises me here. St. Louis is below the league average. The league average is 161. St. Louis is just under it. They're at 160.6. So they're the 16th highest payroll in Major League Baseball.
And traditionally, they've never been up in the top 10. They just have a solid baseball foundation.
Couple players, with Paul and Nolan Arenado making money, but then, after that.
Yeah, no, you let Pujols go, probably, the greatest right-handed hitter ever. And, Willie Mays, Henry Aaron. This guy was great when he was in St. Louis, his first 10 years or whatever it was. And to let him go, they had to make that decision.
Yeah. Yeah, I know we did that before, but if you haven't looked up his numbers before in his first 10 years, they were just
spectacular.
Holy
and if he hadn't left St. Louis, he went to LA and spent so many years hurt. And I don't know why, but he was magnificent to watch. Really was. I think he's a better hitter. He was a better hitter than Mike Trout. I'd take Pujols before Mike Trout in their primes.
I probably would too. I think I know this answer, but somebody wants to know who's your favorite baseball player of all time. I already know it. I think. Can I guess it?
Yeah,
Hank Aaron.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite non-homer was always, for whatever, Willie McCovey. I just used to love to watch him hit. He had that, he had long, fluid swing and a baseball bat that they used for a wagon tongue when he wasn't on a horse and carry. This guy, and he was just, I don't know, for whatever reason, I did enjoy watching him play. I watched a lot of guys, but he was just some kind of unique player for me.
How come they don't want to know who my favorite player is all the
time? I don't know. Who is yours?
Probably because you're old and you've seen more.
I've seen a lot of them. Who is your favorite?
When I was a kid, it was Frank Thomas.
Yeah.
Big Hurt.
And he's another guy that's really underrated. This guy was he was a good first baseman, but he was a great hitter. I mean, he really could hit. I mean, he had an eye like nobody's business. He took a lot of walks that weren't intentional.
Right.
He was just a great, great hitter.
And I mean, growing up, you gotta at my point, the teams that I was on my TV all the time was, Braves were on TBS and TNT all the time. Cubs and Harry Carey and White Sox were always on there. So I was a White Sox fan for a little bit. I had a White Sox hat because of Frank Thomas, but we didn't have the exposure of the Brewers all the time,
No.
So that's kind of like same for me. That's probably why a big reason I was an Orlando Magic fan as a kid, because their games were on all the time because of Shaq and Penny.
Yep.
And Jordan beat them when he was back, and that's why I didn't like him. So, because really, I mean, when I can start to remember, Jordan was I remember the day watching on TV when Jordan retired. So I would have been 6, still a little too young to kind of follow along. So that was like, okay, more in basketball. That was the Shaq and Penny era. And I remember the day my aunt calling me saying, turn on the TV, watch this game. It was when Jordan came back to play the Pacers. So I already had people always ask me, it was like, how do you like Jordan now, but you didn't like him then? Well, I had my fan, allegiance already. And then this guy comes back. I never watched him play as a kid before. And all of a sudden he's beating my teams. I don't like him. He's beating my team. So
do you think LeBron gets some more gravitas, so to speak, as the GOAT because Jordan did try and come back and really and truly wasn't very successful? Because, I mean, the things that he could do in his prime, he couldn't do. I mean, body just wouldn't let him do it physically. And do you think he lost some of the luster on his golden dome, so to speak, because he tried to come back? And was he trying to prove that he was the GOAT and he could lift all boats wherever he played, and he wasn't able to do it in Washington? And how much do you think that cost him at all?
Maybe a little bit. I also think it helps LeBron's playing in the social media age.
Well, yeah, you're right.
All the exposure, and he's all over the place. Whereas Jordan it was TV and a little bit of radio, and then kind of towards the beginnings of the internet age. It's LeBron's plastered everywhere.
Yeah, and
so
Jordan got some media because of Nike, and he really brought Nike out of the wilderness, so to speak, and really put them on the map. I think he's still top-selling athlete or something. I don't know the right terminology, but
the logo is probably the most iconic logo behind Nike. Jordan's logo.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Him jumping in the air.
Yeah, behind the NBA logo of Jerry West. Those are two logos that, everybody knows. Everybody ever saw Jordan play, that's Michael Jordan.
Yep. I know a lot lately, too, people have been kind of comparing the records of what he did with Washington and kind of comparing him with what LeBron's doing with the Lakers now. And they're similar. Even Washington has a little bit of an advantage at that. So people are kind of – the Jordan people are using it. And even like not playing for 3 years when Jordan did come back, at the age of 38 and 39, he still averaged over 20 points a game when he came back.
It's just that everybody expected him to be like he was with the Bulls.
Yep.
Well, that's impossible. That was impossible.
No, I totally agree with you. I remember watching – I used to have it on VHS. I don't know if I do anymore. Jordan's last All-Star game. Watching it on my little tube TV in Medford.
Oh, yeah.
And I put the VHS in to record it. I don't know if you remember the ending of that.
No, I don't.
So they were trying – because it was a close game. It was back and forth. The irony of this whole – Isaiah Thomas was his coach for the All-Star game. But they kept feeding it to Jordan to get the game winner, and he finally hit it in a corner. And there was a few seconds left. And of all people, too, down the court, Kobe Bryant gets fouled by Jermaine O'Neal. So the East is up by 3. Kobe hits all 3 free throws to force it to overtime instead of having, the walk. And it was funny because, like, even Jordan, you could tell was kind of like walking around Kobe and saying stuff to him to try to get in his head to miss one and that. It was awesome, but everybody was just freaking out when Jordan hit that turnaround like 3 in the corner.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I don't remember it. But
Kobe goes down and Jermaine O'Neal fouls him and he hits all 3s. But does it surprise you that Kobe's like, no, I ain't going to let him have,
surprises me that the officials would call it rather than let Michael Jordan have the have the glory of the game winner in his last All-Star game.
Right? Yep. But I remember that. I think I still have the VHS. Kids, they were these VHS things that you could record on a VCR.
Yeah. I've got a bunch of them.
Back in the day.
I got a bunch of them. I got to figure out what I'm going to do with them. I got to throw them away. They're no good.
Hey, they might be worth something in 10 years. You never know.
No.
People are collecting those now.
Are they really?
I don't know how. This is what I don't know how people can do this. But there's people now selling unopened, like, Titanic VHS tapes. At what point in your mind do you think, I'm going to buy that and never open it and sell it in like 30 years?
Never has crossed my mind.
Right? It's just, I never think of something like that. But people have these unopened Beetlejuice tapes or whatever the heck they are.
The only thing I've ever saved, and I haven't saved them all, are the swimsuit issues from Sports Illustrated. And I don't have the Martha Stewart
I was
one.
just going to ask you.
No, because I did let my my subscription lapse. I had a subscription since 1959. And I had a subscription. Because it's such a different magazine, I don't enjoy it like it used to be. It used to be every week and update on all the stuff that went on during. Now it's more of a feature story magazine. But so it lapsed, and I saw Martha Stewart's going to be on the cover of the swimsuit issue, and I don't get it anymore. But that's all. The only thing I've ever saved is some, not all, of the swimsuit issues.
Yeah, because was it a few months ago? I picked up Sports Illustrated for Kids.
Yeah,
I used to get those, and I was disappointed in it.
Yeah, it's not what it used. I mean, they used to have the greatest sports writers in the world that wrote for Sports Illustrated,
and they laid off a lot of them. The last few years,
laid them off, let them go, changed the format of their magazine. The world media world changed, but the stories and the way they used to write. One of the greatest articles ever written. I don't know. I think it was Dan Jenkins that wrote it. It was an April Fool's story, and I wasn't paying attention. I got this thing, and they had a story about this guy that they signed from the hills of someplace to be a pitcher for the New York Mets. He could throw 115 miles an hour, and I'm reading this, and I thought, when are they going to bring this guy up? And then all of a sudden it dawned on me. It was like 7, 8, 9 pages. It was just the guy just made this stuff up. But he tracked his history through high school, or as a midget rather, and then through high school, and then playing semi-pro, and how they found him more or less out, playing at, like a baseball field up at Haugen, up someplace that they got up there. And I'm thinking, I can hardly wait to see this guy in a Mets uniform. Then for some reason, I found out that was an April Fool's joke, but one of the greatest stories I get still to this day get a kick out of that story. I'm trying to think of the guy's name that they used, but it was
I'll see if I can Google
story.
That for you.
The great April Fool's article. But Sports Illustrated doesn't have the same sports. I don't know what the right word is.
Storytelling?
Yeah, storytelling maybe? and explaining the sports of the last.
Analysis.
I mean, they'd have great analysis from the NBA playoffs as they go along. And, they just don't have that anymore.
Because I used to get it as a kid.
Yeah.
And, I don't know. Like, I would be curious to know, like, current athletes, maybe some of the younger ones, is it still a kick to be on the cover? Because that used to be the talk. Like, on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Is it still a kick for these younger athletes to be on there? Like the John Morant.
On more covers than anybody else?
No.
Muhammad Ali.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
At least he was. Now, whether that's changed, I haven't, like I said, but
I'd be curious to know, like, the younger NBA, is it still, with Twitter and Instagram and TikTok?
Well, that's what affected that affected their circulation numbers, and you had to be kind of a sports nut, so to speak, and really into it to follow it and to read. You think you know what's going on, but then you read the articles from some of these guys, and they point out some things that I didn't think about that, but that's exactly right. And so it's just a great magazine, and Sport magazine at that time was also, but that was a little different kind of reporting than Sports Illustrated. Sports Illustrated was, to me, always the best.
I just found, okay. Ooh, okay. It has changed. It has been updated. Now, this is from, okay. 1954 to 2016. This is the numbers for Sports Illustrated cover. So, I mean, you got a few years that are,
Yeah.
But Jordan is the most, so at 50.
Jordan is now, yeah.
And then Muhammad Ali, LeBron, and then Tiger. But I think LeBron's probably got a few more.
Oh, I'm
added to
sure
that
you'll probably get more covers
2016.
too.
But that's I'll see if I can find a more updated one
Yeah.
on there. But
it was always a great magazine.
this is from 2018. Since you are an avid collector of the Sports Illustrated swimsuit covers, any guess on who's appeared on the most for that one?
Cheryl Teagues.
Elle McPherson.
Oh, Elle McPherson. No, not a bad choice. I got some of her.
Let's take a break so you can get some more wine.
Yeah, I was going to say, when are we going to take a break here? My throat's getting dry.
We'll be back in just a few minutes. Casper Classic early bird registration spots are filling on up, so you might want to head to our website, sportstalk1051.com, to sign up and secure your team. We'll open up some more later on, but if you want to make sure that you've got your team signed up, you better do so now, because the first 2 years they have sold out. Big thanks to our presenting sponsors, Hy-Vee, got Carpet City Flooring Center also on board, Dodge, Economy Furniture, and hopefully many more coming down the line here too. I agree. This was from Tim. Sporting News used to be top notch too.
Yep.
At the end now it's just a fire starter. I used to get that too. I used to get Sporting News and Sports Illustrated. It was always sent to my grandma's house, but I remember always then going to visit her, and I'd always have a couple waiting to check out. But I remember elementary school in Medford going and checking out Sports Illustrated for Kids and all those magazines.
Sporting News was more of like a tabloid newspaper.
It was a newspaper one.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Sport was kind of a monthly features type articles in there. But yeah, Sporting News was always a good one too. But
I miss those days. I used to. Now, you do these magazine subscriptions. They're maybe once every couple months you get or something. Like I would get Fuel and Stream, and read that.
Oh,
and
yeah.
those and that. But I'd always check them out at school and take them home. And now it's all online. So there you go.
Yeah, I used to, Sports Afield.
Yes. Outdoor Life.
Oh, some of those pictures and the hunting story. They're great stuff.
Mm-hmm. Especially, when you said Sports Afield, I remember like a lot of them were the drawings. Or
Yep.
I had I think he still does, but teacher in Medford, Mr. Shipman, he's used to be the high school basketball coach too, but he's an artist, but he paints muskie pictures.
Oh wow!
And he's had a few of them on the magazine, or Muskie Hunter magazine. Fantastic pieces.
We've got some around here because of our outdoor life. We've got some tremendous artists, like the gentleman you just mentioned. But you look at the duck stamp, and I know we've had artists here that have painted what the duck stamp has on it. Obviously some kind of a rendition of a duck or a flock of ducks or whatever the case may be, but some tremendous artists.
Yes.
And it all depends on, they're the, kind of the Picassos of the outdoors, so to speak. I mean, you talk about for Western art, Remington, and just magnificent stuff.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm looking at Mr. Shipman's website now, and I'm not a muskie fisherman, but if I was, I would. And he's got some deer ones on there too, but it's like, man, so talented.
Well, and the thing is to be able to paint them or draw them, whatever term you want to use, and make them look real, like they're moving almost. The way they contort the body in the painting. It almost looks like they're jumping out of the water or whatever the case may be. It's a wonderful talent to have, Bob. Believe me, it's something else.
Mm-hmm. I'm jealous of that.
You and me both.
Holy moly. But yeah, I might have to just grab a couple of these. Every time I look at his stuff, I'm like, oh, that would look good in the man cave.
Yeah, those things are
really good in the man.
Yeah,
remember those old? I know some people collect them now, but I don't think they make them. But like the old bar mirror signs that would have like the wildlife
Ham's
pictures on.
beer
Yeah. Or like a High Life or something like that would be on there.
But Ham's had a bunch of those over the years, and different beers had those mirrors that you see behind bars and everything else. Yep.
I think my buddy Frank in his man cave, he's collecting all I think it's the High Life ones, but it's got like all the 8 different animals on there, like a wolf or a deer or whatever. But those used to be popular back in the day. I think they're worth a good penny.
I'm sure they are if you can find them now.
Yep. So. But all reminiscent back.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of, and it was, it wasn't computer generated, or it wasn't, artificially generated. It was done by people that had the feel and the ability to do it, and had the expertise to know, like I said, like that fish looks like it's moving. And, the same thing with some of the, the wild mountain lions and the different things, the deer and the bear and elk. It's almost like, God, that's real. Man, it's just the coloring is perfect. The tinting is perfect. The way they're standing or sitting or jumping or swimming through the environment is so real. I mean, that's a talent.
And even like, talking about when you were doing when we were talking about, Sports Illustrated stuff, the way the writers would tell the story or write, it's not the same anymore. and I wish I have it at my house, but there was an article back in the day talking about Don Hudson, just the way, like, I mean, you had to describe the game because they weren't on. You couldn't watch it, so you had to describe the game, and just reading how they were, how they described it is almost like poetry, a little bit.
Well, Grantland Rice.
Grantland Rice,
the
awesome.
4 horsemen.
Mm-hmm.
The wind, the north came the 4. I don't have the whole thing, but I mean, you think about those things. And even with a voice, not just the printed word, but a guy like Euchre,
mm-hmm.
Vin Scully, Euchre doing Major League ad lib, just a bit outside.
Yep.
Well, when you saw that in the movie, just a bit outside is about 10 feet away from the hitter. I mean, but Vin Scully and Bob Prince and some of these other guys over the years, Harry Carey was kind of loud, and he didn't paint the picture like the real classic broadcasters did. He was a great broadcaster, but some of these guys could paint the picture for you that you really enjoyed the game, and then it's a theater of the mind, as somebody once said, and that's what radio has been.
There's that because there's that article. I'm gonna have to dig it out when I get home now because it's gonna bug me. But they described how Hudson would catch the football, just like describing, and using words like majestic or spiraling in the thin air or something like that. And it's like you can picture that in your mind the way they described that. And I love that article, and I got to dig it out. I know I have it saved because it's not original. I printed it off. I was finding old stories and all that. But that's where I miss those types, those type of articles or stories and that sort of thing.
Well, everything, back then it was to tell the story of the game. Now it's to be the first one to tell the story of the game. They got to be the first. They got to break the story, even, telling it with half truths like we've heard over the past few years in the Aaron Rodgers saga. Not that we're that accurate, but we're the first one to even mention it, whether or not we're right or not. We're mentioning it so people are thinking, well, Aaron Rodgers is going to be traded. Up until this year, I it was an inevitable issue, but before that, I don't care what Schefter said. He was dead wrong. He wasn't going anyplace. But now it's first and the loudest, so to speak.
And I just, even the nicknames that were to guys back in the day, the Galloping Ghost, or or whatever, what was it, Tony Candideo, or Don Hudson was I think the Galloping Egg was his nickname.
I don't know.
Like nicknames like that, you don't even.
And Crazy Legs Hirsch.
Yeah, exactly. That's a perfect one.
And just Alan the Horse, Amici. That tells you a lot about him and his running style. I mean, it was just unbelievable. This, they come up with these nicknames, and they were the Say Hey Kid. I mean, just you can go on and on with a whole bunch of them.
It's like so this one line about Hudson in 45 in one quarter, where he scored 29 points in the second period. The Associated Press described it as a aerial scoring orgy.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that might be a record that never gets broken today. So it's 29 points in one quarter, Don Hudson.
Yeah, there are records that you don't think. I mean, Joe DiMaggio's record will never be broken. I don't think that record will ever be broken. I don't think Nolan Ryan's record of no hitters will ever be broken. I mean, and if you think about a lot of them, there's a whole lot of them. Obviously, nobody's going to ever have more wins than Cy Young, 500 and whatever he had. I mean, there are records that are just unapproachable in a lot of different sports. I don't think anybody's going to get 100 points in a basketball game again.
Yep. I'm getting down a rabbit hole here. The Packers put on a state fair exhibition of football entertainment yesterday.
Yeah.
That's how they opened up at the Fair Park. And when it was all over, they had a very enjoyable afternoon in choking off the Detroit Lions winning streak.
There you go.
Opened up the article.
Yep.
So,
and I think back to some classic horse racing. Some of these guys that would call the races like a giant machine secretariat in the Belmont Stakes and different things. Just the classic announcers and the classic writers, not as many as we used to have.
Mm-hmm.
There are still very good writers and broadcasters. I'll never say there aren't, but it's almost like we're so engulfed in social media and TV. They don't have the opportunity to paint the picture in our minds like they used to have.
And I don't think you'll ever hear an athlete say this too after having one of their best performances of all time. And I have this book, but it was in the book, What a Game They Played. Hudson was quoted in his typical modest fashion on the record-setting game. Quote, "It all happened because of the wind. I remember vividly how it was blowing straight down the field, like maybe 30, 35 miles an hour. It was all a matter of judging the ball in the air, and we were much better at it that day than the Lions."
Modest hero.
Yep.
29, I did not know that. 29 points in one quarter. That is, I don't know how you'd break that.
I don't either.
I remember everybody made a big deal about Gale Sayre scoring 5 touchdowns in one game.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a game. That's 30 points.
Yeah.
Hudson did 29 in one quarter.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I don't
That's
know
why
how you
he's the
break
man.
that. I don't know how you break that.
With the wind with us, we'd throw these long passes, and I was able to get down there under them. I think their defensive backs didn't think the ball would travel as far as it did. And sometimes when we were throwing into the wind, I'd have to circle back like I was going for a lazy fly ball, just as I did when I played center field. There was never another game quite like that, at least one that I played. So.
No, I don't think you're going to have many games you're going to score 29 points in a quarter.
And you know who he did it against was the Lions, but do you know who the Lions were coached by that day?
No idea.
Chippewa Falls native Gus DeRay.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep, Gus DeRay. As he said after the game, too much Hudson was what was one of the quotes he said. He also said too, Gus DeRay said that question, when is Don Hudson going to quit? But yeah,
I'm sure he was asking that question rather than being asked to give an answer.
Yep. But not many people actually know that too. Gus DeRay was coach of the Lions, and he was the coach of the Lions during that game.
Yeah, I know he had a great career after he left Chippewa Falls. That's for sure.
Yep. I never saw such an exhibition of touchdown passes in my life. That was the ball game. He's the same as he always was, incomparable. I wonder when he's going to quit. Gotta love it.
If I was an opposing coach, I'd be asking the same question.
Yep. All right, we got to take a quick break, and it'll be our final.
Get some more wine.
You better be careful there, big boy. What is that, your 5th already?
No.
We'll be back. Timmy saying I went to UW Marshfield with Garrett Shipman for a year. Hell of a basketball player. Well, actually, Mr. Shipman, who was our varsity basketball coach, is a product of Eau Claire North, too.
Oh, good deal.
A little connection there, too. So we only got a couple minutes left here, but want to give a shout-out last day for Athletic Director Dan Schumacher being Athletic Director for the Blue Gold. So we want to give him a shout-out for being a good friend of the program, always hopping in and chatting with us and
explaining what's going on, so we get it right strictly firsthand.
Yep. I mean, I think want to talk about some legacies. Look at Simpson Field. Look what's getting built and all that. I mean, in his few years here, he's done a lot.
Yeah, I think the landscape in the future is going to change as far as athletic facilities here, and how not only the university but high schools and others use the facilities.
Exactly. I mean, what was it just a few weeks ago? Track and field had their first home meets in like forever up there, and a big reason was because of Mr. Schumacher helping that.
Well, that's one of the things he
so.
said. He said, "I can't believe the facilities at this university. There's nothing here."
Yep.
And boy, that was one of his missions to change that, and he has left, as you said, a legacy for it.
Absolutely. So, best of luck on your retirement, and well, congrats on retirement too, Mr. Schumacher. Don't be a stranger though either, right?
No,
exactly. So I'm a Blue Gold and he's a Blue Gold. So there you go.
There you go. He's
definitely setting a high bar for whoever comes in next for.
Yeah, and I don't know how long it'll take to name a new athletic director. I don't think you want that hole to be open very long.
No. But again, congrats and big thanks to Mr. Schumacher for always.
He's made it a better job than when he got here.
That wasn't that what everybody wants when they leave.
Absolutely.
Leave it better than when you found it.
Yep,
so
exactly.
But Bob will have a homemade wine toast to you. I filled up.
I'll grab a bottle and meet him up at the Mallard.
He said he'll be there today. So I don't know if he wants me to say the time, but he wanted me to tell you that he'll be there.
You'll be at the Mallard.
Can you make it is what my question is.
Depends on how much raspberry wine I drink between now and then.
That's what I'm worried about you, if you can make it. So, all right. Well, Memorial Day again. You got the parade, Bob, and you mentioned the Bloomer exhibits.
Yeah, the Vets Memorial Clubhouse.
With the Wisconsin Faces, that traveling exhibits. I might have to check that out too.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to getting up there.
Definitely. So that's probably going to be a very emotional thing too, if anybody hasn't seen that.
I know it's going to be for me to see my high school classmates. One thing to read their names, another thing to see their faces looking back at you, and you don't have time for a story, but I'm going to tell it anyway here. I remember one time when I was out on a Saturday or Friday night at a local bar in Madison, and there was a kid, one of my classmates, in the bar. I said, "What are you doing? I thought you were in Vietnam." He says, "Well, I'm on leave." I said, "Well, you're not supposed to be able to come any farther than Hawaii. What are they going to do to me?" He was already in Vietnam, and he's going back, and unfortunately, his picture is going to be on that wall.
Oh man, that's tough.
Yeah, it is.
So, well, again, thank you to everybody who paid the ultimate sacrifice
and make an observance somehow this weekend.
Yep. We'll talk to you Tuesday.